really about anything that's emotional. So this is something that hit home for me. And the more men that come across in my life, like, yeah, I had it too. You know, we didn't know who to go to, what was involved with it, the support afterwards. So Phil over here and myself, we decided let's do something about it. So we created In Pursuit Mississippi Prostate Cancer Awareness. So our first event, which thank you, I met with Chief Hale. I know he's in here somewhere. Thank you, Lindsay, and some of the others in the room. Helped to get this approved to where our first event, September 12th, is a 5K race, walk, fun run. And we're looking for ways to see how we can continue to spread this event around, get some support, and really just get some more involvement in this. Because I don't know if anybody here has it, if you want to share that or not, but it's definitely a journey that you go into blind sometimes, but when you come out of it, you know there's still a lot of life left. So we want to make sure if we can get one person to go get early detection and spread that awareness, we can probably save a life by doing this. So all right, that's really short, simple, and sweet.
Well, thank you. And it's on September the 12th.
Yes, sir.
The map shows where the race will be. Do people need to register? Or
yeah, so we have a website, inpursuitpca.org.
Okay.
And I can share that as well. And we have some some posters we had printed, if we can print them up in local businesses, which we're going around talking to and asking for their support. It's being very receptive.
Good. Well, thank y'all for doing that and bringing this awareness. And I know Chief Hale's apparently already on board to help you guys. If you need anything else, please let us know, okay?
Will do.
All right.
We'll share it social as well. We'll share it to our social media.
Outstanding. And we'd like to add the city of Gluckstadt to the logos as well. So
All right.
whatever we can do to help. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Kellum,
Yes, this is just briefly, we're having an event. It's brand new. It's a resale market. It's kind of a high-end flea market that will be on August 29th at the Gluckstadt Police Department. We encourage everybody to come out. We're looking for vendors still. I think there's still some vendor spots available. So just wanted to notify the public that that's going on August 29th.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Kellum. We'll move to item 4, the consent agenda. Absent questions, is there a motion for approval of the consent agenda? Okay, Mr. Powell made a motion. Is there a second? Second. Mr. Taylor seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, guys. Item 5, A and B are FYI matters. Are there any questions about the budget reports or the bank reconciliation materials you have? If not, let's go to item 5C, which is a proposed budget amendment. Again, I think although it covers a fair number of items, I think it's pretty straightforward. But if there are questions, please ask them. Otherwise, I will take a motion to approve the budget amendment. Motion. Mr. Taylor made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Campbell seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, item 6A, Mr. Deason. How'd I do, Mr. Deason? It's 6:05.
I think my food is still in the oven, so we're doing real well. First of all, thank you guys for your service. We appreciate it. Number 2, I think all of you are aware of Greason, the Bucular. We had an announcement about a week and a half ago. It's a German cookie maker that has chosen Mississippi over 2 other states. And there's a reason that they chose that, and it's very unique. I want to apologize for the timing of this request, but it all happened very, very quickly because of the transition and the transaction between Greason, the Bucular, and the existing Bucular company that were here. They were able to reach terms and agreements, and they didn't want the employees to find out before the press or anybody else did, so it moved very, very quickly. And what I'm in front of you today, as the Makita Executive Director, is to ask for a fee in lieu on the investment. And it's unique because the county has already approved their fee in lieu portion of it. And so what we're coming to you tonight for is a $3.5 million investment. They're going to retain the 104 jobs that currently exist here. They're going to upgrade the building, add equipment, which is all really, really good information, and it's good for the community. You know, Dubuque itself is one of the older companies here. It's a staple. It's Gluckstadt, they're German. I was telling Jesse earlier that next week, the first German family will be here for a tour of the surrounding area. So we're going to bring them in. It's a young man, his wife, he's an engineer, and they have a 3-year-old son. When you look at what they're currently paying in taxes, and I'm doing this from memory, I think it's about $25,000 a year now is what they pay. What this would effectively do is a fee in lieu is basically a 2/3 abatement of the regular tax. And you can only get that abatement years 1 through 10 on that asset. An asset by Mississippi State constitutional law can only receive it for 10 years. So in year 11, everything goes back to normal. So with the $3.5 million investment, what would normally, and I'm going to round a little bit here for math's sake, you'd be receiving normally about $5,000 a year or $50,000 over 10 years. What you're going to abate is basically $3,000 a year, and they're going to pay $2,000 plus the $25,000 a year. With that, I'd ask, are there any questions? It's a great company and they're good people. And at any point, if there's opportunity to do a sister city or something, I'd love for Gluckstadt to take a look at that, and I'll be glad to push that with them as well. So, John, I think we've entertained a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the fee in lieu.
Yes, I think that would do it. The county adopted an actual written resolution, which is in those backup materials, but I've been talking to Rakita. I don't think that it's necessary to have a written resolution. I think that by adoption on your minutes will suffice.
Okay. Is there a motion then to approve the fee in lieu?
Motion.
Mr. Taylor made the motion. Is it Ms. Bates seconded? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you all very, very
Excellent.
much.
Thank you, sir. All right, guys, item 6B, as you know, we lease a building over at Lone Wolf. Mr. Folks is here. He's been very, very helpful and agreeable to us in terms of allowing us recently to extend the lease, but we need to extend it for an additional 14 months. Ms. Kellum circulated a new proposed lease that does just that. It extends the lease at the Lone Wolf facility for 14 months at the current rate of $3,370. Nothing is changing. We're clarifying so that both parties understand their relationship to each other. We need this in anticipation of moving Public Works to Bear Creek when the time comes, and we project that 14 months will get us where we need to be. And so I wanted to first thank Mr. Folk for working with us. You know, people who have commercial buildings, they like 3 and 5 year leases. They don't like 9 months and 14-month leases. And so he's been very cooperative to help us. And for that, I'm very thankful on behalf of the city. So with that said, I would need your approval to sign this lease modification. Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
All right, Mr. Taylor made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
That's Ms. Campbell seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, sir. And he's going to take it back to his folks and make sure that it meets with his satisfaction. And it'll at least be approved on our end. Okay, sir? Thank you. Thank you. All right, item 6C is a request to amend the city's open meetings policy. And this is sort of come to our attention somewhat at the instance of Mr. Powell and Ms. Campbell. And so we have some proposed amendments. So we have in the materials the current policy, and we also have 2 proposed additional policies. And so we'll start with Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell, as I appreciated his proposed amendments to the open meetings policy begin in the materials at page 210. And, Mr. Powell?
Oh, thank you, sir. Well, we currently use Robert's Rule of Law, to post when we do our agendas. So typically it's about 2 hours or so before we have our meetings. As policymakers, we get to, set policy for when we like to see stuff. We've been pretty transparent with our citizens. We've been a citizen-driven city since the beginning. We have citizens that like to look at this information ahead of time. And so my proposal was that we would put it out on Monday. Now, initially, I had put 10 o'clock a.m. in here. I would like to change on 4.2 where it says the city clerk shall publish the public agenda no later than 4 o'clock p.m. instead of 10 o'clock a.m. the day prior to the meeting, and everything else is the same with any additions or supplements made to the agenda. After the public agenda has been published, will be made available to the public at the time of the meeting. So that way, once Ms. Cullen publishes at 4 o'clock on Monday, then if there's any supplements, then that would be, given to the public the next night at the meeting. So kind of makes it clean. So
Okay,
that was
so-
my proposal on it.
So really what we're talking about is only one change to the current policy, and that is in section 4.2, and it shall read, the city clerk shall publish the public agenda no later than 4 p.m. the day prior to the meeting.
Yes, sir.
And,
Would be allowed to have supplements, put forth at the next board meeting.
right, and that's really a necessity because we have, not because anybody's being dilatory, but just because things happen. We have supplements that are presented to us all within just a few minutes of our meeting starting sometimes. Sometimes it's just unavoidable. So we want to be sure and be able to publish one time after all of those additions are made so that we don't have to update it repeatedly. If we can publish the meat of the matter by 4 p.m. If that's what you guys choose, that's great. And as long as we can then publish additions or supplements prior to the meeting starting when one fell swoop, that'll be workable on our end, right, Ms. Kellum? You'll be good with that? Okay. All right. So before we call for a vote on Mr. Powell's proposal, Ms. Campbell also has a proposal here, and I wanted to let her speak to you. And that begins in the materials on page 218.
First off, I agree with Mr. Powell. We do a very good job of being transparent, and our meetings are open to the public. We have everything online. We live stream it, and it's recorded online. My question is, or a discussion is, we've been a city for 5 years, and I don't believe this conversation's ever come up before. And I want the board to remind themselves that we were the ones elected, and we are the ones that ran for this office, and we are the ones that are making all our decisions. And if we release a packet too early, our judgment could be influenced by those who don't have the courage to maybe come to a meeting. And so I would propose that we keep our policy the way it stands. However, if we do need to adopt a new policy, I propose one in the spirit of unity and in the agreement that we maybe post the agenda packet at 12 o'clock the day of the meeting rather than the day before, the business day before. And I also put in my policy to add no cell phones to be used during board meetings and advisory meetings, since that also goes against the Open Meetings Act.
Okay. The current policy, Ms. Kellum, requires that you publish the agenda when?
At the time.
So I publish the notice and agenda on typically Thursday or Friday when I send out the packet for the board. So the actual agenda is posted online on that day. The materials I believe that are in question are the backup public agenda that's typically done the day of the meeting.
Okay.
So the Ethics Commission has said, or there's state statute that says that the materials are not to be made available until the time of the meeting, or shall be made available.
Shall be made available at the time.
At the time of the meeting. So we've always followed what the Ethics Commission has advised. But of course, you guys are the board and y'all, can make a policy. So whatever the decision is
So
tonight.
what's happening now is that the agenda is being published on Thursday, but the materials are being produced sometime
Yeah,
pretty
typically,
close to the beginning.
Well, I think Friday's her deadline. She likes to have it out.
no, the public agenda is usually published the day of the meeting. The public agenda packet, but let me just, clarify. That's published the day of the meeting.
And I spoke to Mr. Hood yesterday on the phone, and he reminded me that, even the Ethics Commission, they enforce the Open Meetings Act at their meetings. So their agenda and backup packet is available at the time of the meeting. So I think it should be open for discussion. Why now? Why, all of a sudden we want to change what hasn't been broken?
I'll start. It has been discussed before. You weren't on the board.
Okay, well, I mean, that's
but
fine.
It has been discussed, on several occasions, and Ms. Kellum has always told us that as the, we're the people that can make the, ordinance if you want to. So, nobody's ever done it, but at this point, I feel like the transparency, and I don't see any reason why we can't put information out there to our constituents. I mean, it makes zero sense, to me. I'd like for them to be able to sit, and, I used to enjoy when I had my bike shop, people coming in, talking to me about issues going on. So I have no problem, talking to somebody about whatever's on our agenda. I don't think there's anything bad that's on there. So
Yeah, but we're not talking about the agenda, because the
we're talking about
agenda,
the packet,
the
the information that's in it.
the agenda is gonna be out by the Friday before
I'm
the
talking about the
Tuesday meeting.
information that's in it.
Right, and my only hesitancy, and I'm gonna defer to what Ms. Kellum thinks is best. My only hesitancy is this agenda takes these materials, several hundred pages, take a while to assemble, and we don't always get everything. We don't get everything at one time. And so I think that what I'm worried about the unintended consequences, and that is this. What we're gonna have is we're gonna have a partial agenda packet produced at whatever deadline you guys elect to make the rule. And then we're gonna have a supplemental agenda packet produced at or near the time of the meeting. That can be confusing, and I just worry a little bit about that. Otherwise, what Ms. Kellum does is she uses it all at one time. She can work with your moving the deadline up, but it's going to result in, instead of the materials being made public once, them being made public at least twice. And that has the real risk of confusing people. But with that said,
May I interject?
yes.
So my only concern is multiple versions of the public agenda going out. So, say I publish the agenda following Mr. Powell's deadline at 10 a.m. and at 11:30 a.m. I get a supplement from one of the department heads that is an emergency, needs to get on this agenda. Then I have to take it down, republish it. I want to avoid publishing multiple versions of the agenda, amended agenda, once, twice, three times before the final publication, because it could confuse the public and it could cause open meetings issues for us. So what I would prefer is whatever time y'all set, I can work with that. I would just ask that there's not multiple versions between. So it's published twice, the original version and then the amended version.
Which I'm pretty sure is what my policy stated.
Yes, and those are, I just wanted to express my concerns.
And then my other thing for Mayor, I guess my question would be, the agenda packet's already there, correct? Because we get it on Thursday or Friday. So I'm missing the whole part about the agenda packet not being there, not put together because
It's
it's already
not
put
the
together.
complete packet, I think is what the concern is. The complete packet, we typically don't get until the day of the meeting, if there's supplements, so.
Sure, it's a supplement though, but if there's already a packet that has been done, we got supplements today, I got something right before I walked in today. So that's.
I think we just need to find a balance.
All right, so, yeah.
My question is, how does the county handle it? I know they post their packets well in advance.
I'm not sure, I could check with the clerk up there, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they, I just would say that they would need to avoid confusion. That's the biggest thing here.
Well, I did come up with the second policy to compromise with Mr. Powell's policy, and I think it would make Lindsay's job and, our other department heads' jobs easier. If it was 12 o'clock, and then, that way there is only, maybe she could supplement something and make it public, at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock before the meeting. I'm just trying to look out for the department heads and make their job easier.
All right, let me see if I can distill this down to something we can vote on.
Well, I'll make it easy on my part, sir. I've proposed an amendment to our ordinance that states that under 4 agenda 4.2, it states the city clerk shall publish the public agenda no later than 4:00 p.m. the day prior to the meeting. Any additions or supplements made to the agenda after the public agenda has been published will be made available to the public at the time of the meeting. So that's my.
Right, I understand. What I was gonna try to start with is, because the only real disagreement, I think, between those two proposals is the time. One of them is 4 p.m. on Monday, the day prior to the meeting, and the other one is noon, the day of the meeting. So let's circle back to that in a minute.
Also has the cell phone policy.
The other policy being offered is the cell phone policy by Ms. Campbell. It basically says, board members shall refrain from using their cell phones or other mobile devices while a meeting is in session, and any such device shall remain out of sight. In the event of a family or business emergency, the members should exit the meeting to handle their personal business. I think.
How would we know?
Sorry?
How would we know it's an emergency? We don't have our cell phone.
You would have it right here, I suppose, if you got a call from somebody at home.
Understood.
I think that the goal here is to avoid people being on their cell phones or using their cell phones during a meeting, which is a real open meetings policy issue. We could be in violation of the Open Meetings Act, number one. But number two, I think from a matter of decorum, look, my phone's sitting right here. I use it to time, make sure I'm on time. I think it's a matter of decorum for us not to be using this during a meeting. So I like the policy.
Well, sir, I like the policy as well on that, so, I would be willing to add that to my part as well, so.
Okay. So, and I appreciate that, because that's where I was going, was I was hopeful that everybody would agree to Ms. Campbell's language with regard to cell phone. And we will incorporate that provision into however we ultimately amend this policy. And so with that said, unless somebody wants to interrupt me because they got questions, what I'm getting ready to do is ask for, Mr. Powell has made a motion with a proposal that the public agenda be produced no later than 4 p.m. the day prior to the meeting, incorporating Ms. Campbell's language of the cell phone policy. So,
Ask Mr. Powell one more question.
yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Powell, would you be, willing to compromise and do 10 a.m. the day of the meeting?
I just feel like giving the people the time over the evening, the night before to review it I'm pretty stuck on that. Because for me, 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock, it's not much more different than 4 o'clock. Because if we're gonna do it at 12 o'clock and we do our 10 o'clock and then we supplement it 2 hours later, we're still supplementing it regardless. So, why not let our citizens go ahead and have access to look at? So I'm pretty stuck on that part.
Okay, well, I didn't think we needed a policy and I was trying to compromise on the time.
No, I appreciate it.
Okay, so Mr. Powell has made the motion as stated, 4 p.m. incorporating the no cell phone, social media, whatever policy. Is there a second of that motion?
A second.
That's Ms. Bates seconded. And before we call for a vote, I will take Ms. Campbell's proposal.
I make a motion to
Yes, ma'am.
approve my proposal.
So Ms. Campbell makes a motion to have the public agenda produced no later than noon the day of the meeting. Is there a second of Ms. Campbell's motion? Second. Mr. Taylor seconded. All right, let's go to Mr. Powell and Ms. Bates's motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I don't know how that vote came.
3-2.
3-2.
Mr. Williams, how did you vote? Yea or nay?
Yes.
Yea or nay? All right, so
Yay.
Mr. Powell's motion carried 3-2. Ms. Campbell, I think that moots yours,
That's
okay?
fine.
All right. All right, item 6D, minutes, clear on that, John, y'all are clear on that in terms of the cell phone policy being incorporated?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you guys for that. Item 6D, Ms. Campbell, Mayor Pro Tem. Y'all must think I look bad.
No, I was under the impression last year that that was something we were supposed to do yearly. And, I think it should just be up for discussion and, my consideration for Mayor Pro Tem would be Mr. Taylor.
Okay, so we had last year, I'll give him time to get over the shock.
I got a substitute motion there.
He knew I was gonna say that.
Last year, when we passed on this, in the prior board term, we had a mayor pro tem who served for 4 years. Last year, when this came up, what I recall we did was we said that we would, Mr. Powell was nominated, elected to be the mayor pro tem for 1 year, and that we would revisit it after 1 year. Is that the way you guys remember it?
That's what I discussed.
So here we are revisiting it, and Ms. Campbell has made a motion that Mr. Taylor be elected as the mayor pro tem. Mr. Taylor says he has a substitute motion.
And that would be, Alderman Campbell.
I have a question. Could we table this until next month, so that way it could go into effect during our fiscal period?
We could go ahead and vote on it now.
Well, not only that, hey, first and foremost, if I remember correctly, it's my right to relinquish that position.
So, yes, there's a few AG's opinions on this issue, and it is considered to be, once it's elected among the board themselves, it is considered to be, according to the AG's opinion, a 4-year position that lasts the entire term in most circumstances as your regular term of office. However, some municipalities choose to do what the mayor is suggesting, and they have just sort of an agreement within their own municipal policy. It may not even necessarily be formally written, but sometimes it could be, that they choose to rotate it year to year. So there's no prohibition against rotating it. The functional way that works is the person who has accepted the position for a year sort of intrinsically understands that following that year, there will be another vote. And it can be the same person. I'm not saying they're not eligible again if you chose to do it.
I was working under the assumption that was the understanding that you were voluntarily relinquishing it.
And I will, but I would have appreciated to be able to bring it up myself. I was actually going the fiscal year part of it with this, but Alderman Campbell wanted to bring it up, so here we are. So I will step down and relinquish as mayor pro tem, but I'm going to make a motion for Alderwoman Bates to take over as mayor pro tem.
All right, we got 3 motions. Ms. Campbell has made a motion, Mr. Taylor should be mayor pro tem. Is there a second of that motion? Mr. Taylor has made a motion that Ms. Campbell be mayor pro tem. Is there a second of that motion? All right. Mr. Powell has made a motion that Ms. Bates be mayor pro tem. Is there a second of that motion?
I'll second.
All right. Mr. Powell made the motion, Mr. Williams seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I hear 3-2. Congratulations, Ms. Bates. All right,
You're right.
item number 7.
Good evening, board. I just wanted to, talk about briefly my general update. It's mainly going to be budget season. We have, the deadline looming of September 15th to adopt the tax levy and finalize our FY27 budget. So that's what we've been busy with mainly, as y'all are well aware of all the budget workshops and emails. So really, I don't have much other to update other than on that.
Any questions of Ms. Kellum about her general update? Mr. Maul has his privilege license report. Any questions of him about that? And 7C, Ms. Kellum has a grants update.
Yes, so the grants update spreadsheet speaks for itself. It's just mainly monitoring right now and reporting. The only thing that I'll draw your attention to is that we need to accept the the traffic grant tonight, for DPS, and that's the next item. Once I get approval from y'all to do that, I will send the agreement on to DPS. If you'll notice, the funding is at $29,098, and that goes to overtime and personnel for the police department. I have been told across the board that they have been dropping funding a little bit, so that's why it's a lower number this year. If you had questions about it.
I actually spoke with the lady whoever does it. I saw that. I made a phone call because it's the actual overtime is about 10 grand difference. She said that basically they did a recalculation on their, like, basically how many hours you work, how many tickets you write, and because of the new formula they use, it essentially across the board, it changed. In January, my plan right now, in January, you can basically apply to get more money or amends, something like that. We're based on target to spend what we have this year. And with, cost of living adjustments, stuff like that, I can almost guarantee that we're probably going to run into the same problem. So what I'm going to do, what we kind of do anyway, is those first 3 months, we'll track kind of what we spend. We'll be able to kind of see where we're going. And then in January, we're going to ask for a modification to hopefully get some more money. So that's the plan.
Okay.
If not, we'll adjust and do what we can.
Okay.
Because the benchmarks stay the same.
All right, any questions of Ms. Kellum about her general grants update? All right, item 7D.
Sir, I'm sorry, is that 7D? I just needed an approval.
7D, right now.
Sorry, I don't have it in front.
All right, so we are seeking approval to accept the DPS Traffic Safety Traffic Services Grant. Is there a motion to allow us to accept that?
Motion.
Ms. Bates made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Campbell seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, item 7E.
And the last item under my section is just a simple request for the board to authorize me to move the balance in the Calhoun Station Parkway project back to the general fund. And the amount is $392,361.08. This is the balance. We don't anticipate any more invoices or checks going through. The project has been completed at this point. So if you looked at the budget amendment, it does have that anticipated in it.
So just so everybody understands, that's $392,000 we didn't spend on the project. I don't ever want to hear somebody say that the city of Gluckstadt's not efficient. That's Mr. Buckner. Great job. And I know the contractors are to credit for this, but we picked good contractors who work fairly with us, and we're able to return $392,000 to the general fund, so that's good. Is there a motion then to allow the authorization to transfer that money back to the general fund?
Motion.
Ms. Campbell made the motion. There's a second. Mr. Williams seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? All right.
Thank you, board.
Hi, Mr. Dearman.
Good evening, everybody. As you can see, we got a packed agenda for P&Z tonight. I'll be real quick with the updates. P&Z Commission and the Art Commission committee met this month, and their minutes are attached. The P&Z and building departments had a total of 15 new permits with a total of $10,000 as of August 3rd.
All right. Any questions of Mr. Dearman about his general update? All right, Mr. Dearman, 8B, use determination for motor fuel sales.
Right. So when a certain use is proposed to me and I cannot determine if it is allowed or what type of use it is, whether it's permitted or conditional, it's incumbent upon my role to request determination from the board. The use of motor fuel sales without a convenience store has been proposed to my office and may be better stated as standalone motor fuel cells. Section 408 and the special provisions applying to certain uses in the zoning ordinance has a specific section pertaining to convenience stores with motor fuel cells. The section details out how many stores are allowed throughout the city, and to summarize, essentially 2 per intersection, no other stores within 4,000 feet of that intersection. Ordinance 2024-15 made several text amendments to the zoning ordinance, which included convenience stores with or without motor fuel cells. The ordinance removed this from the C1 zone and the C2 zone and placed it as conditional use in I2. And I interpret this as it is allowed in I2 if and only if it meets the requirements of section 408, which is the 4,000 foot mark. With that said, the zoning ordinance, text amendment, and our definitions are all specific to convenience stores with or without motor fuel cells, not standalone motor fuel cells. In layman's terms, typical gas stations that sell fuel, beer, and Butterfingers. Nowhere does it mention a standalone fueling center or a supermarket with fuel cells element. I do understand the need to limit gas stations, but I believe this is an entirely different concept than a convenience store with motor fuel cells. Costco, Sam's, and Kroger provide household supplies and groceries on a large scale, and most of them have standalone fuel cells element to it. With that said, can a standalone fueling station, no store, or a supermarket with a motor fuel cells element be allowed in C2 zone, be allowed if it meets the original requirements of section 408.02? And if so, is this permitted outright or conditional use?
All right, any questions of Mr. Dearman about the issue? Question is whether we want to interpret this as allowing it in C2 outright, or whether or not we want to make it be a conditional use, subject to the 4,000 foot linear foot distance, right?
Right, correct, yes.
If it was a convenience store, it would fall into this, but if it's Walmart wanting to sell gas, it doesn't.
If it was a convenience store with a gas station, it would not be allowed at all.
Right.
So taking the convenience side out of it, like we've all seen on the Costco and all that, it's kind of a gray area where we got it right now.
I was gonna ask, it's already out there. So let's say Kroger came and they went on a certain corner in Gluckstadt and they wanted to have a, fuel station there.
Sure.
Would that fall outside of where our next gas station is? Within that
It
4,000
would
foot
meet, if it was there, it would meet the section 408, 4,000 foot requirement. So where it kind of messed up, that text amendment took out the use of a convenience store in motor fuel cells. So it would meet the requirement. It'd be it's actually over 6,000 feet from the closest gas station. So it would meet the original zoning requirement.
I mean, personally, just with all the gas station stuff that's going on, I would like to see a conditional use. Personally, that's one person.
So I was going to say, I
Yeah.
would like to see a conditional use as well.
Makes sense.
Okay, so the board then needs to reach a conclusion and indicate to Mr. Dearman that the interpretation is that this would require conditional.
For standalone fuel cells would be allowed in C2 as a conditional use.
Okay, and I have Mr. Powell as having made that motion. And Ms. Campbell seconded the motion. I'm sorry, and Ms. Bates seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Dearman, that satisfies?
Yes, sir.
You
That helps me.
give you some direction. Okay. good.
Absolutely.
All right, item 8C.
Christian, I'll let Christian take this one.
All right, good evening, everybody.
Hey, Mr. Hall, how are you?
Doing well, going. We've had a few Gluckstadt and Go complaints that seem selected, regarding derelict vehicles. So we elected to go and ride the city and look for vehicles that would meet either in the International Property Maintenance Code definition of derelict or under our zoning, which generally is unregistered, inoperable, disassembled apart, being worked on, or if there's grass growing up around it, you can't see it. So I found many We sent out numerous letters, gave ample time to respond, got a lot of good responses. Some were cleared up easily, some said, yep, we'll move it. They've done so as early as yesterday. One that would not normally be on this list, what hadn't come to maturity yet, told us they have a plan for it. It's about 50 vehicles, so it's great to hear good community involvement. But as of today, I have 4 on this list, 4 addresses who either received or chose to not claim their certified mail regarding derelict vehicles on their properties. Pursuant to our zoning, I am looking for recommendations from you guys as to what my next steps need to be on this. This is not grass cutting or anything like that. I think we have an established pattern for it, and I don't want to overstep, to be honest. So,
Does our ordinance have some enforcement mechanism?
I don't know offhand, Christian, but I think it is prosecutable in city court as an ordinance violation, municipal ordinance violation. Right?
should
That's
be.
one.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a dual penalty with sort of a civil penalty that the board can undertake. Is there, have y'all explored yet writing a ticket? I mean, I know that sounds like there may be a practical issue of finding people in certain events, you know, if there's an inoperable vehicle, you don't know it's registered to. But I would think that one efficient way to do it would be to prosecute in city court by writing a ticket for a violation of municipal ordinance and then let it prosecute as a misdemeanor. I don't know if there's another penalty or civil remedy contained within the ordinance we have adopted.
Based on what I've read, there's nothing that seems to be that cut and dry. So that's my recommendation. In my mind, I think it makes sense to maybe, find a way to issue a fine per vehicle, something like that.
I think state statute allows you to go up to $1,000 in 90 days in the county jail and treat each continuing day following, proper notice having been given as a separate violation. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I appreciate your insight. That's what I want to hear, because I really didn't know what to do next.
Okay, so we would require their police department to issue a citation in order to get them into court.
Or, I mean, does one of you guys not write code violation tickets?
We haven't.
Okay.
At least since we've been here.
You can
Send
certainly
out letters and.
It's just that usually the applicant who writes the ticket is the person who has to go to court and swear under oath and trial is necessary that the contents of this ticket are true and this person is in violation of our codes. The typical process is you have the code enforcement official write it. Just like if a uniform traffic ticket, there's usually one that's kind of mostly blanks, that's a municipal ordinance violation ticket. And you would just handwrite in there what the applicable provision is in your ordinance. So I think maybe we should, Mr. Gideon and I can probably get together and make sure those mechanisms are in place, because I think that would be an efficient way to do it.
Okay, Mr. Powell.
So I know sometime back we had an issue with a dilapidated building that was enclosed up. And I can't remember if we tore it down and then recouped the money, but that was one of the things that we spoke about was if they didn't fix it or they didn't tear it down, we're going to tear it down and charge them to do it. Could we not have the car towed or whatever?
Well, the answer to your question is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Well, I mean, the same situation.
So yes, essentially, but there's a little bit of distinction that I just want to make sure is clear with the board. What you're talking about is 21-1911 proceeding, where there's specific statutory authority to go take what some people refer as unkempt property. It's public menace property. And there is a specific provision that allows you to assess a penalty as well as the cost to clean up, and you get reimbursed by that. This would be more like prosecuted like a misdemeanor in city court. However, you can certainly have the municipal judge order as part of the compliance, the repayment of the cost and things. In my experience, I mean, obviously you're doing the right thing. I wouldn't think the first step would be write people tickets. I think what you're doing, Mr. Hall, is the right way to do it. Let them know first. He's already told you that there's a couple that have been corrected without the need to even file something in the city court. In my experience, the next step is you file something and they show up for court, having been properly summoned, and they say, I'd still like a chance to fix it, Your Honor. And then you have the judge rather than the board saying, fix it at your own cost, and I'll see you back in 30 days, 60 days, whatever. And then when they come back, you tell the prosecutor, Mr. Giddy, it's fixed, we're gonna drop the charge and it's done. And then finally, the ultimate thing is if they don't fix it by that time, try it. If you've got process on them already and they've already appeared before the court, you can try it in their absence.
The real question, it looks like to me, is this some ticketing authority that we want to give Mr. Hall and or Mr. Dearman? Or do we want the police department to handle? Chief, have y'all written tickets for code violations? Okay, it sounds like this might be something that we need to authorize them to do.
I think the better practice is to have Mr. Hall do it, because a patrol officer, although certainly authorized to write a ticket, if he went under oath and they said, well, what provision of the building code is this? What's wrong with the steps or whatever? Mr. Hall's the expert on that.
Okay.
And so I think that's what you want to do.
That sounds like a better idea. provided that the board agrees, you can work out the mechanics of doing that and get them the right ticket books. And all
Well, I
that.
can certainly work with them, and I don't think it requires any authority because he's an affidavit essentially, and as the code enforcement officer, he can sign an affidavit under oath saying he violated this. And then in extreme cases, come to court and try the case as the witness.
Okay, so we don't need to vote.
I don't think
He's
so.
already authorized and empowered to do that.
Yeah, I mean, just as hypothetically, Ms. Kellen could do it if she were the person that knew the most about it. So I think he's got the authority to do it. We'll get the mechanics in place. Zach, am I correct? There's no need to, it's not like you get sworn in like a law enforcement officer. So,
Can we get an update on how this turns out?
of course.
And then also the properties we talked about last month,
All the
what's the
dumpsters.
status of
A
those?
lot of them got, a lot of the letters were returned, because, and I figured it would, a lot of them said there's no mailbox, so I have gone back with Bridget, we found the, either registered business and their physical address, and we've resent a bunch out, so, I did speak to a couple of them, they were like, oh, we'll shut it, yeah, that's fine, but I'll be honest, that's really hard to enforce, and I'm not making an excuse by any means, but, the mechanics of somebody who works there doesn't really worry about it, shared.
We're talking about the lots, those lots that we talked about last
Oh,
month.
the grass cut, or the signs, signage, either I removed it or had them do it,
The
yeah.
lots that were overgrown.
So that was my next thing. I'll be honest, Mike skipped this part with me when we were training. I do have a couple, they're not on this list, and I'm looking back to my notes, I've got 3 currently that I think are due for a public hearing and for us to go in and clean the private property. One of which is a repeat offender we've cleaned up before. So on Greer Court, I think it's 106.
The people who are, the properties that are identified here, we've already tried to send them
Yes.
letters and get their
I
cooperation.
sent certified mail on June the 16th with the July 15th deadline, and here we are, August 11th. And I haven't heard, or on these 4, I haven't heard back, or I think 3 of them were unclaimed. They never even picked them.
Just to let you know, we sent out a lot of letters and the majority of them called us immediately, came to our office, explained the situation, worked it out. So,
Yeah. Well, let's try to work it out with them, and if they ignore us and there's no other way to work it out with it, well, then you guys can enforce the ordinance. That's what you're authorized to do. So, any other questions or comments on the topic? Okay, Mr. Hall, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, item 8B.
all right, to our first project. So SIP Outdoors is planning a small addition to their existing building in order to provide a meat processing and services and sales to their customers. As determined in the Aldermen meeting on June 9th, small scale meat processing will be allowed in the C2 zone as conditional use. The applicant requests approval of conditional use to add this element to their business. They have a solid plan for the process, and the owner's here to discuss with the board. We did hold a public hearing meeting of the P&Z, and the P&Z Commission voted to recommend approval of this conditional use. There was no public opposition to this. Mr. McGraw?
Thank you guys for the consideration of this. First thing I'd like to say is we started this business 2 years ago, coming up in a week, and the community's been nothing but wonderful to us, and we're thankful for that. We had several people as they come into the store ask us about processing. They ask us about processing because the closest one to us is not very big and not very accommodating, and the one that everybody knows about, which is Vans, is, it takes you 3 hours to do the round trip there. Nothing against Vans. We love Vans. We love the store, and nothing to do with that. But whenever we started considering this, we also said, okay, we don't want to be Vans where we're just processing deer meat. Okay. We have talked to several local vendors of Mississippi beef. And our plan also is to offer beef and other things inside our facility, such as prepackaged meals. I don't know if any of you go to Livingston. In their store, they have Martin's there. We contacted them. We contacted Olivia's to be able to have that, because our vision is that a sportswoman or sportsman comes in on Thursday or Friday, grabs something that they can prepare, and goes to camp or goes to wherever that is, fishing, whatever they're going to do. And so I don't want us to think about this as just a deer processing facility.
It's gonna be more than that, or we really don't wanna do it, because it also provides a venue for people to come in our store and be patrons all through the spring and summer, if we're offering other things. And just so you guys, everyone knows, we are not gonna be offloading deer in the parking lot, okay? We've got an 8-foot fence here that we're gonna have up front. We're gonna have 8-foot fence in the back. There's a wood line across the east side that you can't see. But our whole premise is that people bring their venison or ducks or whatever they bring in a cooler anyhow. If you go to Vans, that's typically how it's done, okay? And we feel like that he's, obviously I think we mostly know that Vans deceased, but his business lives on because of what he did. And we're going to follow that model to the extent that then we're going to offer other things and other avenues for people to get grain-fed beef from Mississippi. I mean, obviously our name's Sip Outdoors. Our plan is to offer beef that is locally grown. There's a couple people in Florida. We've already talked to them. I'm not talking about Dave. I'm talking about the individual vendors that have cattle. And thank you for your consideration.
All right, thank you, Mr. McGraw. Any questions of Mr. McGraw or Mr. Dearman on this, Ms. Candy?
What is your exact plan on removing excess materials? How are they gonna be stored? How often are they picked up? Things like that.
Okay, we call Republic Services, who's authorized to be able to do that. I mean, you can't just put it in a dumpster.
Right.
Okay. And they're gonna come twice a week. I've already spoke to them. I've already got the agreement. Just kind of waiting on whether we get approval or not. And then once we start, we're gonna have it offloaded twice a week. And they are taking it to their landfill, that the Little Dixie landfill. I don't know where that is, but that's where it's gonna be offloaded.
What's gonna happen to the carcasses? I'll use that word.
Yeah.
It's
It's
gonna
gonna be stored inside your facility until it's picked up?
Well, no, it'll be in the dumpster, okay? But they're gonna pick up twice a week, and we don't feel like there's gonna be that big of a volume for us, especially early, okay? But the deer meat will be in a freezer. We've got a couple of different freezer modes there that we're not gonna put it out there until we know they're coming.
So the carcass part, okay? They are going to be put into a dumpster. The dumpster is located where?
On
For the one, Scott? It's behind the fence outside.
Yes, behind both fences.
Is it a regular dumpster where you open it at the top and close like that, or is it like,
Sealed.
is it sealed? Is it a special dumpster, or is it?
It's a dumpster that Republic says that they have to use for the offloaded carcasses. You can't go to Waste Management or somewhere.
Well, that's what I'm asking, what
Yeah.
kind of dumpster is it?
I don't know. I haven't seen the dumpster. I don't know. I don't want to answer and not know exactly what the dumpster looks like. But if you're asking that we have a sealed dumpster or a roll top or something on it, we have no problem doing that.
Yeah, we don't want to smell it. That's all I'm asking.
And look, neither do I. I do not want one of our patrons to drive up to the front door and a mom and her child be there to buy clothes for the kid or anything else. And they go, oh my gosh, what is that smell? That'll totally destroy what we're trying to do.
I mean, my concern is you picking it up twice a week, so that's basically every 3 days. And it's hot in November and December, and January sometimes around here. You got 3 days worth of deer carcasses in a dumpster. Sounds to me like it could be a bad idea. But it's your business, and you've thought about this apparently.
I have, because I do not want someone pulling up and smelling that. I mean, look, guys, we're gonna do it if I come up and I smell it, I'm gonna go, everybody else is gonna smell it too. So we're gonna move it out there. It's not a budgetary issue. It's more of okay, we're gonna have to see what this is. And if we smell it, we will move it. Plus the church is right behind us. They've got a playground back on the other side. So, I mean, we don't want that. We've got a great relationship with the church.
And
because you brought up vans, I just want to say, I've never walked into vans either in the processing side or the retail side and smelled any type of rotting carcass.
And they get picked up twice a week.
And they're twice a week and all year. They
Yeah.
process all year also.
So since it's a conditional use, you know, y'all have the option of adding additional conditions, and the proposed order we put in your materials contains conditional use number 10, plus these following conditions, and it's got 2 blanks and things. And so, you know, when you vote, depending on what the will of the board is tonight, if you decide to grant conditional use, you can certainly add a condition that the correct dumpster be used, or that the odor be controlled, and however you want to phrase that.
And then, can I add this, Pat? Can you confirm with Republics and give us an idea of what kind of dumpster this is?
Yeah. I mean, wasn't he just
Surely
sent
they
the
have that on
vans out?
file.
Well, he's contracting with a company. This is their specialty. This is
Yeah.
what they do.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he can do much more than that. If it works out good, if it doesn't, it's a problem.
Well, we'll have it just picked up more. I don't mind that being put in there. I mean,
I would
I
like
have
to
no
make
idea.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it with the conditional use that if it is a problem in the future, that he have a pickup schedule of more than twice a week.
Talking about if odor is a problem?
Yes.
Okay.
If it's a problem.
How would you word
That, worry about vaping, worry about
I'm worried
vaping.
about vaping.
I understand where you're going, Mr. Campbell.
Christian's gonna have something else to look at.
It would have to be complaint driven, or you could probably say in the, you have a code enforcement officer. I mean, I'm trying to think of something where you have control over it, monitored by the code enforcement officer. If it becomes unacceptable to him.
Just because it is in the middle
Increase the
of the
frequency.
city.
Still feels a little vague, but
So subject to approval by the code enforcement officer that it's not becoming a nuisance of some sort, giving him the ability to go out there and, of course, we probably have that enforcement authority without making it part
It'd
of
be
it.
similar to our dumpsters, like we're supposed to go around and make sure they're closed and well kept, so it's something we can add to our schedule for sure.
I
Okay,
have a question.
yes, ma'am.
Did P&Z make any other recommendations?
Not on the conditional use.
Mr. Kitty was at the P and Z meeting, but from what I understand, the representative who was here was saying the dumpster would be provided by a third party company. So I don't know if that's your action, that's specific or general recommendation. Oh, okay.
And that's for public services, if I'll have that, and that's who Vans uses also.
So kind of thinking down the road, if this becomes a problem, let's say that despite Mr. McGraw's best efforts and Republic's best efforts, the church or somebody nearby begins to complain that this has become a real nuisance, an odor situation. Would our code enforcement give us the authority to do something about that? To
Well, you
remedy
can, I
that
mean,
situation?
the nuclear option, so to speak, would be revoke the conditional use. You've got a finding in your conditional use order that says it's not detrimental to the public health, safety, or general welfare. And it's incompatible with the existing and intended care of the surrounding district. So, that is a finding that, is one that's legislative in a way, but I mean, you could be informed later on, this conditional use has grown to the point where, in our estimation, it's no longer, and then
Okay.
the board could revoke.
Okay, so that gives you guys some authority down the road, and gives the city some, again, hopefully that's never gonna happen, but I'm just wanting to think out loud and make sure they all understand what we're getting at.
Totally agree with it, but everybody needs to realize that building on the left side is way more important than the lower right hand. Okay, so I'm not gonna allow anything to harm that.
Okay, all right, any questions at all of Mr. McGraw? Thank you, sir.
Hey,
Mr.
thank you.
Newman, Thank you. All right, we have before us a request for a conditional use for the SIP outdoors. Is there a motion to grant conditional use or to approve the conditional use? Motion. Mr. Taylor made the motion. Is there a second? Second. That's Ms. Campbell. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Item 88E is the site plan for SIP outdoors. Mr. Dearman?
Correct. So as we just discussed, he's adding an addition to the east side. And right now it's an open sales area, kind of a porch. He's going to close that. We get to that. It's under the conditional use. It's the same site plan. You can't see a reason to touch it for it. So essentially, he's enclosing the east side, pretty small addition. He's got refrigeration units that tie into the building. He's adding an 8-foot tall privacy fence along the front. And in the P and Z, one of their recommendations is to add that additional fence in the back, and they have incorporated that. Go down one more, right there. So that's the site right there. In gray, that's actually stone right now. They're actually going to pave all that with concrete. They're going to leave the stone in the back, but because it'll be a private area. And they have added the fence to separate them and the church. And as he mentioned, the whole east side is a very tall, wild fence line there. So he did get approval from our committee and as well as P and Z. And like I said, P and Z made the recommendation to add that fence in the back. He has incorporated that. One thing he also did, we recommended adding landscaping along the frontage. This site had no landscaping whatsoever, and they jumped on it. And as you see, he's adding some trees along that frontage right there and along the front side of the building, which will increase the look of the building as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dearman. Any questions about the proposed site plan? Is there a motion to approve the site plan?
Motion.
Ms. Campbell made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Taylor seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, guys, congratulations.
Hey, thank you.
All right, item 8F, conditional use for the RPT expansion.
Yes, sir. So Rich Pro Truck is planning an expansion to their property on Calhoun Station. They plan to add a mixed-use building that has retail stores up front on Calhoun with warehousing, storage, and the rear of the building. In the C2 zone, enclosed storage and warehousing requires conditional use. Applicant requests approval of this conditional use to their property that they will utilize at the back of the building for warehousing, in the front of the building for street side retail. We held a public hearing at the P&Z Commission on the 28th. And the commission voted to approve the conditional use with the recommendation to remove the curb cut, the driveway, and utilize the existing drive. There was no public opposition to this. The owner is here today and they would like to talk about the driveway. Also, I would like to point out to the board that multiple driveways and access ways are allowed as long as they're 22 feet apart. And this design exceeds that footage. Also, there will be no more curb cuts south of here because everything south of this is the regulatory floodway. So you won't have another driveway until you get to Building C down there. So, Mr. Joseph Orr is here if you'd like any questions.
Thank you, King. I'm Joseph Orr, the architect working with Mr. Estelle, and I don't really have a whole lot to add other than he's got several locations, and some of you may be aware he's got a very large warehouse in Brandon that he restocks his Lakeland Drive and Gluckstadt location. He needs more space here in Gluckstadt, and what I mentioned to the planning and zoning was, rather than just build another warehouse next door to it, we're going to put a retail building in front of it because that Calhoun station lends itself more to the retail activity. And of course, he'd like to help with tenants, help subsidize the cost of his warehouse, but he really needs the warehouse space, and that's what we're here to ask your permission for. Do I speak about the curb cut?
Yes.
Okay. The P&Z recommended that we do not, if you go back to the site plan, they recommend that we do not have a separate curb cut and all traffic come in and out of the one curb cut that's there now. I've asked Mr. Dearman to allow me to appeal to the Board of Aldermen. And I know that making decisions counter to your P&Z committee shouldn't be done lightly because these guys work hard, but I just felt like it's in our interest to allow whatever future tenants that will be to have their own ingress and egress and not mix up those two traffic patterns. Even though Mr. Estelle has access from the west and from the north, I still see a lot of trucks coming through his existing access, especially with the warehouse, the new warehouse being on that side. And so I'm here to ask for the consideration of the board to allow us to maintain or to construct another curb cut as we show there. And I think Mr. Dearman's had mentioned that we're all within the requirements of the ordinances. It's just a personal opinion of the P&Z, a couple of members of the P&Z that we do this.
Okay. So they're outside the 22 foot?
Yeah, it's almost 70 foot between the two. And P&Z mentioned in the comprehensive plan, it's stated to minimize curb cuts. It's kind of what they reference,
Can we pull up Google Maps just to make sure that we're understanding? It's just a little easier to
Put
see.
Mr. Moan.
Yeah. So we're adding a third,
Third entrance.
a second, or,
Was
A second one on Calhoun
on Calhoun,
Station.
correct.
yeah.
He has an entrance on, what is it, Audubon Parkway or something? Audubon Loop.
Just zoom to it.
He bought this property thinking that someday he's gonna expand to that part of the south. Of course, soil's terrible and we're having to lift up over the floodway, but he still wants to move forward with that.
So is that a two-way entry for both of the entrances?
Yes, ma'am, they're both wide enough for inbound and outbound traffic.
So why add a third?
Because the building we're using is really I know everyone says there's a third curb cut, but the one on the north is really is out of use for what this building what this building needs. There's not a lot of traffic on the Audubon Park. And true to any tenant's desire, the landlord just wants to make it as easy as possible to get in and get out.
I mean, I see how he's wanting to make it easy, because you go to like the buildings down the way by Twisted Turnip, you gotta go all the way down, one way in, one way out, so.
Okay, so where would the curb cut be?
Right about right there, yes, sir.
Right there. I got you.
Chris, where would the entrance from the park be?
It's gonna be a little further south than the south side of the ditch.
Right here?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have one entrance right there, and then they want,
The other one will be some north.
We'll have two for the park.
Right there will be the southernmost entrance.
What would that look like? You can picture everything done now. Is that gonna be a prone spot for accidents, people coming out, coming in? I mean, I guess that might be a very question.
you know, keep the police out there.
I mean, I don't think it would be.
Okay.
We don't have a whole lot of accidents right downtown.
It's a lower speed limit, it's 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, so you're not.
You got all those other businesses right there, we don't.
Okay, I'm just
Remember
asking.
last time we worked in that.
To the south there, like I said, that's all floodway, so we won't ever have any driveways there until we get further south.
And this, he meets all the recommendations,
Oh, yeah.
so he's in.
He's got more than enough parking. He meets the setbacks, he's got great landscaping plan. It is, like I was gonna talk about in the site plan review, it is a floodplain, which they're gonna be building above our freeboard. Yeah, they meet all the requirements.
If it helps play a decision, the fire department's in favor of more access to the building. So they're in favor of it on curb cut. Those two could be here tonight.
All right, so before the board then is a request for a conditional use for this expansion. And the request is to include the additional curb cut.
Say allow.
I'm sorry,
You could say allow the additional.
to allow the, that's correct. Okay, is there a motion?
Quick question for him?
Yes,
Did,
sir.
the P and Z commissioners know about the police, the fire department wanting access?
That was after it was brought up, that's correct.
I just wondered if that was influenced the decision at all.
No, we asked the fire department after they made their recommendation. So in our mind, it met the spacing width. But I think they were kind of trying to just minimize additional curb cuts, which is not unreasonable, you know.
All right, thank you. All right, any motions?
Make a motion to approve, the curb cut with additional
With additional what?
landscaping,
Additional landscape.
or the landscaping that's proposed.
Okay,
We were asked to come back and add some more landscaping along the south side, which we did.
is the landscaping part of the conditional use?
You were kind of getting.
No, it
That's part of
wasn't.
the site.
It wasn't. They, between ARC and P and Z, we had already got them to add additional landscaping. It's very sufficient in landscaping.
Okay.
What was recommended is adding the drive, not getting rid of the drive.
So before then, the board is a request for a conditional use and the allowance of the additional curb cut. That's what we're addressing here right now. Okay? Ms. Campbell, you want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay. Ms. Campbell makes that
Second.
motion. Mr. Williams seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, now we're going to talk about the site plan.
All right, so the site, as I mentioned, this is a floodplain area. They will have to build about 18 inches above our base flood elevation. Right now, they're planning on trying to get closer to the grade of the existing building, so they're going to be almost 4 foot above the BFE, so they're going to be fine there. They'll have to fill out a floodplain development permit, which will require 3 elevation certificates to confirm that. We did present to the ARC meeting, and the ARC approved the conditions of removing the metal siding along the north side. Scott, if you go down to some of the elevations. So you don't see the actual building. Keep going. All right, so that's the front there. So they did approve conditions removing the metal siding along the north side, raise the south side roof line, disguising the view, the low pitched roof from the south, and add more detail to the front facade. Applicant has replaced the metal siding with painted brick. Go down one, Scott. Along the north side with where those roll-up doors, which will be facing the existing bricks that used to be metal, it's all brick now. They have raised the roof of the south side to disguise that low pitched roof, and everything will slope down into the side at that point. He has not made any adjustments to the front. I'll let him explain his position there. We presented the P&Z Commission. They also voted to recommend approval of the site plan with the recommendation of adding a pedestrian access way from the sidewalk and adjust parking spaces that were all 10 feet. They have adjusted, they had a few spaces that were 9'5" wide. He has adjusted all those. We have not added that pedestrian walkway because we talking with Chris, we didn't think there was a really need because you have 2 different access ways there. So they are adding the sidewalk along the front, which is a big request from us there. If you go to the renderings, Scott, go down one more. That's the original one before it got to ARC. You can see the metal siding, go back. Oh, that's the north side there, and then go down one. This is the new where they've added brick. So now you have no metal siding except the very rear, which is allowed. You got a parapet going across the south, which is disguising the roof line from that point, and then everything will drain to the north parking lot. And again, these 2 buildings are facing each other. It's really hard to even see them as you pass by.
Okay. Any questions about the site plan? All right, is there a motion then to approve the site plan as proposed? Motion. Mr. Williams made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Campbell seconded. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Item 8H, conditional use for spinning bowl.
All right, so we got our first laundromat request. Is requesting approval for a laundromat service at 160 Weisenberger Road. This site was previously updated, and the request is for a build out in an existing building, which currently has a dry cleaning business in it. The proposed use is similar to a lost sock concept, except they have a self-service element to it. Currently, there are no laundromats in the city, and this location could be a good fit since there's a dry cleaner right next to it. We held a public hearing at the P&Z. There was no public opposition to this conditional use. The commission voted to recommend approval with the following conditions. Provide the Board of Aldermen with the updated floor plan, which they have. If you go down, I should have the original one. Oops, go back. That's the original one. And then they updated the floor plan where it's going to have more of a lobby up front and no washers up front. The second one is to require 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Sunday time frame. They asked to provide a ratio from drop-off service versus self-service. And then they also requested that this conditional use will cease to exist if this business closes. And representatives are here today to talk about the ratio too.
All right.
I really wasn't able to get a ratio out of her. She didn't understand how much of it would be spin and fold, that's their primary, use for the space, but she didn't know what the extra would really come down to, so she didn't know if we don't have a ratio.
Okay. All right.
Let me ask you this, how many self-service units are gonna be in there, like washers versus showers? I mean, how's it gonna?
And I don't understand how that's working either, which one's self-service and which one's not, or if they're all self-service and they're using the self-service ones, or they're gonna say these are only self-service and only do these toward the back. I don't know.
A lot of questions.
Would someone be there the whole time?
Yeah, there'll be an attendant there, continuously when it's open.
Does this person have another location anywhere else?
I do not.
What would the hours be? No, that is probably.
Yeah, the 7, what they asked us.
Can you have any more information on it, like any more details?
I don't, we didn't get much at P and Z either. The biggest thing is they made a recommendation for the time frame. The biggest thing is, unlike Lost Sock, they will allow people to come in and self-service.
And they haven't really told us whether or not this is 95% self-service laundry mat versus.
Correct.
The other place didn't include really any of that.
Her comment was that the folded spin part of it is their primary concern. As they grow, they hope that it'll just grow into just that, but in the beginning, they don't know.
I personally would like to have more questions answered by her. I don't think it needs to go through any other advisory boards, but I should come to the next meeting.
Yeah.
I can give it to you, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like Ms. Campbell is making a motion to table the conditional use request for spin and fold, correct, ma'am?
Mm-hmm.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Powell, second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, that matter will be tabled then, and we can get her here next meeting to answer this question. That would be great. All right, item 8I.
All right, so Mac Hike requests a variance to the sign ordinance for their newest building off Aldermen Loop. This is the northernmost building there. They're afforded, businesses are afforded 1 6-foot tall ground mounted sign per frontage. Mac Hike has 2 frontages. They also own a small parcel out at Calvin Station, where they used to have a sign mounted out there a while back. They removed it, and they plan to put the 6-foot sign back out there. They request a variance to install a third mounted sign on a pylon that's 29 feet tall. So per our code, they're actually allowed the 2 ground mounted signs because they have 2 frontages. And their first rendition, they were about 9 foot high. They have revised those to match our requirement, which is 6 foot high. So those 2 signs are allowed. So the main one that's in question is to allow this tall mounted sign, which is pushing 30 feet tall. And it will also match the sign they have way down south, which was done before the city was incorporated. So the real question here is, can they get a variance to install 30-foot tall?
P&Z approved.
Yes, P&Z.
6-foot sign and then denied the 29-foot tall sign.
Yes.
Okay. All right, there's a request for a variance for the 29-foot tall sign. Is there a motion then to allow the variance, to grant the variance? All right, that matter fails for lack of a motion. Let's go to item 8J.
All right, off to Dean Alvin. Dean Alvin is requesting the approval of conditional use for the upcoming furniture store at the old Callaway's building. It is zone C2. Conditional use is required for big box retail stores. The existing site in the current building is 17,500 square feet. They plan to add another 15,000 square feet, making it approximately 32,715 square feet. We held a public hearing at the P&Z Commission, and they recommend approval with conditional use as presented. There was no public opposition. So that's the front facade there. We'll look at it. I want to see what I will discount.
So the conditional use is required because it is a so-called big box furniture store.
Correct.
Okay. All right, any questions at all of Mr. Dearman? And I know the D. Noblin gentlemen are here. If anybody has any questions, or gentlemen, if any of you want to speak on the topic, feel free to. If you don't, that's fine as well. Any questions at all? All right, so before the board is a request for a conditional use for D. Noblin. Motion to approve. Mr. Taylor made a motion to approve the conditional use. Is there a second? I'm sorry. I have Mr. Powell as having second. He was Johnny on the spot over there. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. All right, now let's look at the site plan.
All right, so zoom out a little bit there, Scott. So this is the proposed front facade, versus what Callaway's is there. So as previously mentioned, they're planning to renovate. They will exceed the number of parking spots required for this development. They plan to cut in landscape aisles to break up the wide open space. They will remove the existing perimeter fence and add landscaping along the Calhoun Station bus that way, which will enhance this property tremendously. They've also agreed to install the ADA sidewalks along Calhoun Station and Gluckstadt Way for our subdivision requirements. Their storm drain will all drain to the development plan detention area to its south. Currently, the stone road at its rear, you go down a little bit, one more, right there. So the stone road in between there and the daycare, that's actually split between two property owners. So they plan to put gates on both sides, leave it private, leave it stone for now. Let's see, we presented this to the ARC committee, and the ARC committee tabled their review. D. Noblin has appealed that decision directly to you guys. We'll discuss that here shortly. We presented this to the P&Z Commission, and they voted to approve the site plan contingent on the following: removing the sidewalk along Gluckstadt Way. And the thought process there is that we don't really know what's going to happen across the street. It's a tighter road. So let's hold off on that sidewalk and focus on the main one along Calhoun. And then also contingent on approval of architectural design.
Okay, so we're going to get to architectural design and the appeal.
Correct.
After the board considers the site plan.
Correct. Yes.
So you guys see the site plan as proposed, which doesn't include the sidewalk along Gluckstadt, right? Doesn't include the sidewalk.
Correct. If you're going down right now, it shows both sidewalks, and P&Z recommended removing the one along Gluckstadt Way to know what's going to happen. It makes more sense to have that sidewalk across the street when that development happens.
And approval of the site plan to be conditioned upon the board approving the architectural work.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions at all? All right. So before you is the D. Noblin site plan. Is there a motion with regard to the site plan?
Make a motion, Parson.
All right, Mr. Powell, you make a motion to approve the site plan. All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Bates seconded. All in favor? Aye. All right, let's get to the appeal from architectural.
Do you want to get the renderings up? So the ARC committee recently tabled the review of the D. Noblin submission. The D. Noblin immediately appealed the decision directly to you guys. The original submittal did well in some areas of design, but was lacking in other areas. One thing we must take into consideration is that this is an existing building. This is not a blank slate design. There are limitations to the renovations, and we must be reasonable when these situations arise. The new standards do a great job providing guidelines to what the city expects with regard to architectural design, but it also does a great job giving those who want to invest in our city options, so there's always a degree of freedom of design. Originally, the submittal did a good job following the standards along the front facade of Calhoun Station. In the Village District, you are required to choose one of the four architectural styles, and they chose Village Mid-Century. And in my opinion, was compliant with that style along the front facade. This style includes features like large multi-pane windows, surface articulations, design elements that are horizontal in nature, and parapets with step or slope designs. Also, Village Mid-Century designs are typical for large stores such as this. They have They are compliant with their material choices along the front in addition to the south with nice contrast and color scheme. Along the north side, the lower elevation, they upgraded from metal to stucco, added a few faux windows to break up the long wall. And in my view, the only place they were deficient was two areas, disguising the minimally pitched roof and the large metal warehouse in the back. This was a great opportunity for our committee to write a detailed recommendation where the applicant was deficient and guide them towards being substantially compliant. That did not happen. Since the tabling of our review, the applicant has made a great effort to become substantially compliant. They present the upgrades to their design today and ask for approval of the architectural. They have removed all the metal sidings from the higher elevation warehouse, and that's all four sides. All the metal's gone. They have removed. They have added multiple step parapets along the south side, which is the new construction, the addition of the building, to disguise the minimally pitched roof and mixed up the color schemes wall to interrupt that long run. The existing north side is a little more complicated, just adding a parapet to disguise that minimally pitched roof. So they've added a parapet on the bathroom that's articulated out and the section disguising the center of the roof, and they plan to add additional tall growing trees to break up some of the sides of it over there. Due to the higher elevation of the existing warehouse and to avoid a large stucco box, they've added some trim designs to mimic a roof line parapet along the north and south side of the warehouse. The owners and designers are here taking questions.
Okay, so Mr. Dearman, as I appreciated then, when it went to architectural review, it did not meet the newly adopted.
Didn't meet all of them.
It didn't meet the design at the time. It didn't meet the requirements, and the board adopted those, and the city spent a lot of money to get that. And this is the highest level of zoning in the area, right? But since then, since they've been to architectural review, you're telling us now that given the changes that they've made, they do now meet all of the guidelines.
They are compliant, and the only place they are still somewhat deficient is the existing wall. So they've added the parapet here, which didn't used to have. You used to be from the north side, you can see this minimally sloped roof. So it will still be a little visible here and over here, and they're hoping they plan to do a lot of landscaping to break that up.
If you look on the north side,
They go down a little bit.
can you go there?
Yes. Oops, go back up.
This area protrudes out, and that's bathrooms. That's what the existing bathrooms in the building. And this is a single pitch roof, so this roof is lower. So what we did was we put that parapet around this area that bumps out, not here and here. Our major reason why is that's an existing building. It's designed as a metal building. It's got a metal building gutter on it. We would have to come and put a whole new wall outside, take part of the roof. It's just a lot of work to just achieve a little bit of aesthetics. So we felt like just coming out with that piece that's sticking out. And which would be this area we're seeing right here, just protruding out to us. And the other two areas also have some mechanical units that we're covering up. And we got extra landscaping along the street to also help with this. Now this led to the big buildings in the back also. Come on. This was a big metal building. In our very beginning, we would have liked to just left this a metal building and painted it. But we understand what the city's asking for and is looking for. And so instead of making it going from a big metal building to a big stucco building, we've elected to break this up with some trim work, try to get it down to more of a human scale, street scale. And that's what we've done there. And we've carried that all the way around the building. So you go to the back of the building and you come around to the south side, that end of the building looks exactly the same. Now this part is a new wall, where that blue is. So we were able to put a parapet up there. We could build a brand new wall with the gutter system that we needed. So we've got this parapet coming across to tie in to do that for it. So there's no metal on the building, no exposed metal. The roof is metal. It's, we feel like we've covered that up with a parapet.
And the standards require substantial compliance. And in my mind, they are now substantially compliant, which means you're trying to meet the majority of the requirements, but you might not meet all the technical details. And like I said, the only two areas that I see that I really think that could be broken up with the landscape are those two other areas. And it's just the minimally pitched roof there.
On the north face.
On the north side, yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions? from
We should go
anybody?
through.
Yeah.
Could you show the audience also? Could you show the, in a minute, could you show the audience of her?
This is the south side.
That's the north side, the north side.
Looks great.
There's the south side. Oh, my switch chest.
So
Go back over one, Scott.
the decision that the board has to make is whether or not to find that this complies with the architectural review standards.
Correct. If they get an approval here, they'll be able to move on to permitting.
All right,
That's the
so
last notch.
you guys understand what's before you is an appeal from the architectural review board. And are there any questions about where we are? Any comments?
I'll say, I appreciate the changes to be in guidelines that we approved last month, so.
I think it looks, considering it's an existing building and not from scratch building, the pictures are amazing. I think they look great.
All right, so before you guys is an appeal to find that this project as depicted here complies with the architectural review standards. Is there a motion to approve that?
Motion.
Ms. Campbell made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Williams seconded. All in favor?
Right.
Any opposed? All right, passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, board.
All right, Mr. Hutchinson.
Good evening. I appreciate y'all allowing me to come up. Do I need to state my name or anything?
No, you know you don't.
All right. So I commend the board. Y'all done a great job on all of these architectural guidelines. Granted, when I saw them, I was a little taken aback. I was like, this is going to be trouble. Reading through a few of them, I mean, it's a great path. It gives a ton of guidelines on how to, or that what y'all want to be built in the city. But we're stumbling a little bit with this architectural review committee. We have two of them, 3 members serve on the planning and zoning board. And from what I've been researching, so architectural review is doing the architectural review, like it's stated. Planning and zoning is supposed to just approve the site plan. And y'all correct me if I'm wrong on this, because I didn't read all of the architectural guideline document. It was a little overwhelming. But last week, or well, I guess this last month, which I represent none of the people that were here today, I just, was concerned that is this committee necessary when 2 of the 3 members serve on planning and zoning? One of the architectural review committee had to recuse himself. So now there's 2 people making a decision on which, I'm proud of them. I want them in our community. I'm glad y'all made the decision to approve them, because I feel like we're going to have more. I mean, people are having to come to our community and invest. So I don't believe that if we're gonna have that committee, it needs to be more than 3 people. They don't need to serve on the planning and zoning board. And they need to know how to utilize the guidelines. I just don't feel, and I know it's new to everybody, and I mean, I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't even want to to be on this committee. I wouldn't want to be on the planning and zoning committee. I wouldn't want to be on the board of aldermen. So I thank y'all for all of your time, but if they're gonna sign up and the tax dollars are gonna be paid to them, they need to know how to use the guidelines, because I think they're very thorough and they give them a great roadmap to guide our city. So how do we ensure if y'all keep this committee around, how that they know how to make recommendations? Luckily, some of the people here today and I guess every developer or business will have a path around them if they don't make decisions, like they didn't make any decisions. They just tabled it. So we need, it takes every day that they're not moving dirt or somebody's wanting to come to our city and invest. If they can't start that process, that's costing them money. Granted, we need to make sure it's getting developed in the path that y'all want, and and us as, I don't live in the city, but we have land and businesses. So I'm here tonight to say, is that committee necessary? If y'all deem that that is necessary, there needs to be more people, and they need to be educated on how to use the recommendations that y'all adopted and y'all spent a ton of time and money on. I think they're great. I mean, I'm not going to like it when I want to add on the Mississippi Tent building. But I'll cross that bridge when I have to. But I do think they need to learn how to utilize those boundaries. And I'm charging y'all to do that because I guess they're all appointed by y'all board. So if we want to keep them around, I don't think we need to, but have more board members. Don't let them serve on the planning and zoning, because I would love to know that they're not biased off of them being in one committee to the other, but they're stronger people than I am. So, but it's in the same way with planning and zoning. I mean, there's a lot of personal opinions. And I know there's this recommendations that come to y'all. So just like tonight, they can still have an avenue to come here and you're all the ultimate decision makers. But then again, I think they need to be more educated, use the guidelines that y'all put in place, and approve or deny parts of these projects based on, the guidelines. They don't have to meet all of them. They don't have to necessarily like the project. It's not about personal opinions. It's about, does it meet the guidelines that y'all put in place? And I'm not signing up to be up there, so I don't want to be asked to do that. So, and I know I'm bitching at y'all. I can't say that. I know I'm complaining about them, but it is a tough job. I mean, it's just, but let's use, I don't even want to know. I guess I could look it up or not, but how much the city spent on the guidelines. But they're great. They are very thorough. Let's charge them to utilize the guidelines. How are we ensuring that they know the guidelines? Because it's a lot of districts. I haven't even learned all the districts. I just focused right where I was intrigued with that would directly impact me. So, there's some things that, it's my personal opinion, like, the Rich Pro Truck, they didn't have to do brick. They decided to do that because that differing metal met the guideline in that district. And I don't recall what district that is. And then I do, that's just, I think, I'm not going to stay up here all night, but they need to be more aware of the guidelines and how to use the guidelines that y'all put in place. And I don't think the Architectural Review Committee is necessary when planning and zoning can do the same thing. And right now, 2 of the 3 architectural committee board members are on the planning and zoning. So that they, you know, that is not necessary. And then one thing I didn't put on my agenda, throw it in there, so I hope it's okay. The existing buildings, like we saw tonight, I think they went through a huge effort and expense to make those buildings conform. We're gonna go through the next, you know, forever of people, and not necessarily in the village district, because that is a relatively undeveloped area, but there are existing buildings there. And how does that tie into these existing guidelines we have in place? You know, I mean, I think y'all made a great decision, but is there something that we need to add to that for existing buildings based off of, you know, what actually is possible? Because I look at my building itself, I mean, I'm just not ever going to change anything, you know, because I don't think it's feasible that you could bring that 25,000 square foot building up to conforming guidelines. And unless somebody buys it and they want to invest that money, I just think that that has to have a little thought, much like the architectural guidelines already. So I appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you, sir.
And
I want to respond to some of that, and I know some people here probably do as well. The architectural review guidelines were adopted 2 or 3 meetings ago.
They're modified over the years.
No, I'm talking about
The latest
standards.
version, the latest version.
Okay. And so, look, it took our P and Z commission many months to really catch their stride and do their job. It took us a long time to hit our stride and do, you know, as best as we can. And the same is going to be true for whoever tries to apply those newly adopted guidelines. Okay, it's going to take them a while to figure out what they mean and how to apply them. And when you factor in an existing building that would still be the landscaping place, but for the change in use, which is the only authority we had to compel them to change it, it would still be there. When you factor that in, it's a complex situation. And so I think that Architectural Review Committee has done their best to try to do as best they can, considering that the guidelines have been in place for 30 days. Okay. Now, I think that it's a good point worth discussion as to whether or not that is an efficiency that we can maybe do better efficiently to dissolve that board and let P&Z plan on it. And it would be, and we have 2 on our board sitting here, it would be to dissolve the board, not to get rid of the process, not to get rid of the critical look in the administration of the guidelines, but to do that in P&Z as opposed to a separate architectural review committee, with the only eye towards making that process more efficient. That'd be the only thing. And I know Mr. Dearman has advocated for that because he believes it would be more efficient. And I personally want people to come into our city and do business. I also want them to comply with the guidelines because that's what the board adopted. And this is a good example. I'm sure that these folks who came in here from Dean Aldermen never thought the process would be so hard or that it would be as expensive as it turned out to be. And that's growing pains. You know, when you come in and you see those types of things happen. But if we can make it more efficient, I think we should. But I don't think substantively we should back up from where we are. I think somebody's got to pass on the guidelines. We need to make that as efficient as possible. And if it means getting rid of the Architectural Review Committee to do that, great. That's all I'll say about it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. 100%. I appreciate Dr. Haynes' take on this. So, I've had the opportunity to serve 5 years now with P&Z and now with our art committee. The P and Z meetings were going forever and ever while they were trying to look at architectural stuff as well. We're talking 3-4 hour meetings. All right, I have right here, the ARC focuses on how a development looks and fits in the community rather than whether the land use is appropriate. Example, the building elevations, exterior materials, color, landscaping, signage, lighting, architectural style, compliance with design standard, which is a huge one because we just adopted standards. So these folks are looking at the aesthetics of the building, and we need some people. I appreciate my commissioner being here tonight. She's got a great eye for it, and what the detail that we're looking at. You know, as far as the standards, I mean, these folks wrote the standards. So, I mean, I would think if anybody knows the standards, it's gonna be the people more so than me. It's gonna be people that wrote the standards. And they just trying to say that. Now, P&Z handles planning and zoning decisions, zoning changes, rezoning requests, conditional use, variances, subdivision plans, long-range land use. I mean, it's two separate entities. You know, it's very common. All the cities around us have ARC committees and they have P&Z committees. City of Ridgeland, if I'm not mistaken, they have their ARC committee meets twice a month, as well as P&Z meets twice a month. I mean, I'm not going to put that on our people. I'll put they're number one, but you know, all these cities. I mean, it's not like we're doing something nobody else is doing, and we're trying to, you know, cause drama with us. I will agree that we should separate our committees from our planning and zoning people. 100% on that, and add some people. That was already on my notes to discuss for tonight. What in my mind, because when we originally brought the ARC committee up, my mind was that so we're going to Dean Alden's here right now. Dean Alden comes to see Mr. Dearman today. They bring their plans to him. The first Tuesday of next month, the ARC committee would meet. Those plans, they would have them on Friday, so they'd have them in plenty of time to review everything. And then on that Tuesday, they're gonna look at the plans. You're gonna say, well, Dean Alden, this looks great. We like it. And it's going on through planning and zoning. Then planning and zoning would look at the zoning and the elevation changes, everything that transpires from that. And then if the approval, it comes to us to approve it. Well, let's say they look at Dean Alden, they're like, well, Dean Alden, we think you guys need a little more brick right here. We need some going on over here. Okay, well, they're gonna make that recommendation. I will look into, no recommendation being made. I don't know when they got their information. We'll do some research on that and talk about that. But, you know, I mean, this is one time I've had many times, you know, so I kind of know where this is coming from. But anyway, it's a whole nother subject on that. I'm losing my train of thought. Anyway, so I agree on the members and stuff. What I was saying was, the board gets it. All right, so Dean Alden changes theirs. It goes to our committee. Our committee's like, okay, they need to add more stone. And so at that point, it goes to planning and zoning, which is the fourth Tuesday of the month. Correct? That's our Tuesday.
ARC's third Tuesday.
No, I'm talking about, I'm putting my proposal as far as the first. So when is P&Z on the fourth Tuesday?
Fourth Tuesday.
So it goes to P&Z, and at that point, they look at it and they're like, well, Dean Alden, did you guys do the brick? And they're like, yes. And so everything else checks out, and guess what? In 1 month, we're done. If they didn't do the brick, well, what happened? Why could we not do the brick? Maybe it gets tabled, maybe it doesn't. But we do have an avenue, which we showed tonight, where they can appeal, anybody can appeal, and we can bring it up and have a discussion on it. So, you know,
Can I respond?
I don't know if I'm getting ahead of my game on Ian.
I have made a mistake to allow you to get ahead.
Yes, sir. I think I'm ahead of the game here.
Ms. Campbell we're now on item 8N, and Ms. Campbell wanted to discuss dissolution of the Architectural Review Committee. And I mistakenly did not allow her to have the first say, which I usually do for anybody who brings a matter up. And Mr. Powell has gotten ahead of me, but that's my fault. I'm sorry, Ms. Campbell. But, you now have the floor.
You're ready, aren't you? You're ready. Okay.
And before we're done, Ms. Greer and Ms. Seitz are here, and I'm going to invite them to speak as well.
First off, I do want to say the architectural review standards that we approved, the art committee has done a fantastic job at that, and I really commend you and all your hard work, and they do really good, and we've told you all that before. One of the things that I wanted to bring this up because, after watching the P and Z meetings and the art meetings, I believe this process might need to be revisited. I don't know if our board members that are here tonight have watched those 2 meetings. I would encourage you to go back and watch those. Now that we've adopted the architectural standards, I think it's a question of whether we still need to separate an art review, or particularly if, do we need a separate review committee? Do we need the art committee, or can they serve as one? My biggest concern is that the process needs to be based on the standards we adopted, not the opinions of someone's likes or dislikes. If the P and Z has concerns, then the applicant is in clear, give the applicant clear, specific recommendations tied to the standards and move on to a project. I don't believe an advisory board should be allowed to table an application. They're there to advise, make a recommendation, whether it's approval, denial, conditional use, and allow the project to move on to the next step. They shouldn't be allowed to table something. Since our last meeting, I've reached out to several business owners and architects who have worked with, who have gone through the process with our city, and I think their feedback needs to be heard. So this is from Jessica Moore. She owns the veterinarian the vet's office that we approved last month. One of my questions was, do you feel the process took longer than it should have? Yes. Just waiting on the following month's meetings to collect all the documents was a challenge. Everything lined up, was basically able to submit, and then I had to wait 1.5 months to get through all the meetings. She goes on to say, I think the art board and the P and Z meeting can be combined, not necessarily to skip steps, but to have both of them completed within one meeting. Changes could be implemented before the final meeting of Board of Aldermen. Another one is from Mr. Rutledge. I believe he's an architect. Looking back, is there anything that you believe could be handled more efficiently? I think the art review process is a little too subjective. I think good-looking designs should be approved, even if they don't fit the exact aesthetic that someone may like. Those are his words, not mine. I want us to protect the standards that the art committee has established for Gluckstadt. I also want to make it a clear, consistent, and efficient process. We should be encouraging quality businesses to invest here, not creating unnecessarily delays and additional costs for people trying to build their business in the city. I've talked with Mr. Dearman. I encourage the board to listen to how he wants his department ran, and give him the freedom to do that. I also encourage you to take into consideration what Mr. Hutchinson said. One very popular saying is that we're a board of the people. Your people are here speaking and are asking you to change the way this process goes. I'm not saying just because Richland or Madison does something means we have to follow. But you have people coming in here complaining about it, trying to make it more efficient. And I think those opinions need to be heard, whether it's one committee or 2 separate committees of 5 people, which that goes into a budget. You know, those people have to be compensated. Or Mr. Dearman did have a third option, which I think he wants to talk about with the architect.
Let's hold on 1 second. Mr. Dearman, the process, if everything were to go according to plan, from beginning to end, would take how long?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Correct.
And in this circumstance, we keep talking about the dollar because it's fresh on everybody's mind for sure. When the architectural review board tabled it, they appealed, which is what was decided tonight. Did that add another week to the?
It did not. So if you wouldn't have approved the architectural, they would have been out another 6 weeks.
They would have been out another 6 weeks.
Correct. If you were required to go back to the architect.
And if, under your plan, your idea, if you had your wishes and the architectural review board was dissolved or merged into P&Z, it would move the process from a 6-week process to how long?
The Process would still be 6 weeks. What it does, it gives me and the applicants an additional week to get things up to standard. And this is what I've been proposing and thinking about is I get submittals turned in by the first. And of course, I'm looking at stuff well in advance of that as well. Now I'm sending out the preliminary submittals to all the commissioners and all the ARC members that first week. Rarely do I get any comments back. I'm asking for comments. My thought process is, hey guys, here they are. Now we got 3 weeks before they get to a voting meeting. Y'all go ahead and tell me what you want changed. And I don't get those responses. I did this month for the August meeting get one response. But that's a perfect opportunity for them to take a quick look at it and say this, and this is wrong, or this is great, blah, blah, blah. So my thought is if I get that and there's no ARC meeting, I get their comments as well as y'all. I send y'all the submittals as well. That gives me almost 2.5, 3 weeks to get to everything up to par to PNC. And my thought process is with 2 of the ARC members being on PNC, what are we losing by getting rid of ARC? You got the people that wrote the standards. The PNC is perfectly capable of interpreting these standards because they are broken out beautifully. I mean, it puts it in a district. You're looking at certain things. I'm reviewing it, and I'm reviewing it with like a madman because I'm trying to make sure this thing is good enough to at least start the process. And I'm actually on one right now of this month that they're kind of on the table whether they're going to get to the P&Z or not. They have not gotten everything to me. And at that point, I believe it's my job to say, all right, y'all got to wait till you're better off.
Well, it's one thing if the applicants don't get the materials to you on time, that's on them.
Correct. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about making changes I've requested before I even present it.
It's another thing if our the people who serve on our boards are delaying things, causing delay. That's a different story. So, Ms. Greer, Ms. Sykes, first of all, I'm going to say thank you both for serving on the committee. The second thing I'd like to do is give you the opportunity to speak if you want to, because you're here, you donate your time with the city, and I know you're interested in this. Do either of you want to talk about this?
I will say, my name is Melanie Greer.
Come to the podium, Ms. Greer.
And I've been serving on the P&Z since the beginning. And the process used to go through planning and zoning. The whole process, the architectural review was with planning and zoning. And if you participated in those meetings, our meetings were 4 hours long. So that process was separated at the point that the architectural review committee was formed. And we had one meeting with our new standards. The rest of them, we've been having to be subjective with our opinions because we're trying to say we want things to be like they're going to be in our architectural standards. So we were trying to uphold standards that weren't in place yet, that had not been approved. So yes, absolutely, those were opinions. We wanted them to match what we were trying to do in the long run. So it's my opinion that it doesn't delay the process necessarily. I mean, yes, we have a separate meeting that people are attending. They're going to do that anywhere else that they go. And I understand you don't have to be like everywhere else. You don't want to be like everywhere else, but it's not delaying the process for them. Now, they can come sit through a 4-hour planning and zoning meeting. We've done it, and we did that for quite a few years. And I would like to just say that, Casey, Lee, and I, we're coming at 3 p.m. during business hours. We're business owners. So we're trying to serve our community. And Casey and I both serve on planning and zoning, but that was by design. We were asked to serve on these committees. So should there be more members? Sure, absolutely. Get some people to step up. Yeah, add them. But it requires time, it requires great effort, and it is a thankless position. So I guess that's where we stand. Also, as far as saying, does a project fit a certain criteria? again, you can be opinionated with it, but I think that where we were with the Denoblin project wasn't that we didn't want Denoblin. We absolutely want Denoblin here. We support them. We want them in the community. However, in this district, it's the elite district that we had gone through the approval process of. We had certain guidelines for architectural styles. So an architectural style has multiple elements. Just because a project meets one or two of those elements doesn't make it a certain architectural style. Horizontal lines, for instance. I think you could say that horizontal lines across the board show up in many architectural styles. So when we were looking at this plan, we were seeing a building that, was it a pretty building? Sure, it was a pretty building, but we didn't feel that it fit within the architectural style that it was being presented under. It didn't fit under any of the ones we felt that belonged in that district. So that was the reason we tabled it. It wasn't that we were making one or two suggestions. We were at a loss of, we can't make an entire list of things to change before it got to planning and zoning. So that's the reason we chose to table the project, was because it didn't fit the architectural style that we needed it to for that district. So I guess those are just some thoughts.
Ms. Greer, let me ask you this question. What do you feel about the notion that maybe people who serve on the architectural review board shouldn't also serve on planning and zoning, and we should maybe get?
I think that that's up to your discretion. I have been involved in other municipalities where I've served on multiple boards and it hasn't been a conflict, but I've not served in the capacity of planning and zoning and architectural review. The other that I was involved in was architectural review and historic preservation, because there was a historic district within that city. So I don't think that it's a hindrance, but there could be opportunity to bring someone else in that maybe has more specialty in architecture. Whereas, the planning and zoning should have relevant experience towards those matters. So I think that's at your discretion.
Okay.
I've got a question. When y'all tabled it at the meeting earlier this month, or July, right?
Art or beauty?
Art.
Art tabled it.
Would you have approved it?
I would have approved it with recommendations of where they were deficient in the code.
All right, so by y'all tabling it and Denoblin approving it, the corrections were made that were brought forward tonight, correct?
Correct.
So it worked. Art review, even though you tabled it,
It
still worked and came within the guidelines.
We haven't seen that was the first time we had seen.
I know you have.
Procedurally, what happened was they tabled it. The applicant appealed to the board, and in the interim, they brought their project up to compliance with the standards.
Correct. So it worked.
Technically, it worked. I would point out another perspective of that was that was a way around a system, which it worked for them. That's great. But I think that if you've got a committee that was appointed to look at the architectural guidelines, the ones that know the guidelines, and then it's appealed and it's presented as a change, and then it's approved, it doesn't necessarily meet those guidelines. If you, I haven't had a good look at the new renderings, so I can't, give a full opinion on that.
When they came to architectural review and it wasn't going great, they were asking you for feedback. What feedback did y'all give them? After our standards have already been implemented, that y'all came up with.
You're asking what our feedback
Yes.
was? We were looking at the project and we were saying, well, this doesn't, fit. This doesn't look like what we were wanting. By that, we were meaning the architectural guidelines. But there was too much to just make recommendations.
Why was it too much? I'm just asking, because that's your job to make recommendations of what you would want.
Change the architectural style of the building.
Could you give them exact recommendations after meeting?
I guess we could have given them a list that would have been long to make it a completely different looking. I mean, what you saw tonight was a completely different looking building than what went through. That's
But when watching it, that's not what happened, and that's what's supposed to happen. Is you're supposed to give to the people that came up with the standards, you would say, I would like A, B, C, and D done, rather than we're tabling this. We can't give you.
I think that the way that we tabled it was in a way that we were saying, let's discuss it and we'll help work through this. And then that's all we heard.
Do you know, when is that being case? Is that how you felt that they would work through it at the architectural review board meeting?
I think when we met at the architectural review board meeting, first, our best presentation was the front of the building.
Mm-hmm.
It's an existing building, we're adding on to the building, and it's a big box. That's what it is, it's a big box. A big metal building in the back, we were hoping we could just leave that metal because it's an expense. The parapet walls where we don't see the roof lines, wasn't a real issue on the south side, a little bit of an issue on the north side, but we felt we would work through that.
My question was there specific recommendations that they?
What I felt at the architectural review board meeting was, I was pretty much told that the front of our building at all, was nothing they wanted to see there. It was still a big box to them, but it's a big box. If we could start from the ground up, it'd been different. If it was more than one tenant, it would be different. It would have different entries. It'd be more smaller units. But we did take the effort. We felt like we took the ideas that are recommended in the architectural review, which is a recommendation. And we took that recommendation. We felt like we did that with the front of the building, what we had.
Who told you that recommendation? Kane or the architectural review board?
Excuse me?
Who gave the recommendation to change X, Y, or Z?
Well, the review board made the comment that they wanted to table it, that we really need to go back to the drawing board and start over.
Okay.
It's the feeling that I got.
And then I gave them where I felt they were deficient. And they kind of knew that going ahead of time. The metal building was not going to pass.
We knew the metal building was going to be
The biggest other issue was the low pitch. But I need to say too is a lot of this could have been worked out if I got responses to my email. I sent all this out July 8th, and a lot of this stuff could have been given to me to pass on to them. That's kind of what I hope in the future. However the board makeup is, it's like when I send these out, man, y'all hit me with what you're thinking so I can at that point get with these guys and be like, all right, this is no good. This is okay, work them out before we get to a voting meeting.
Ms. Greer and Ms. Sykes, I want to say this, and this, please don't take this as being overly critical, because I know you're well intentioned, okay? I know you're trying really hard. I think that the issue that has kind of arisen is not that you said we're going to approve it or we're not going to approve it. That it was tabled, and they were kind of like floundering around in the water without a lot of direction. And again, I understand these are 30 days, these guidelines have been in place, so perfection is not the issue. But do you think that there is a way to work through, instead of tabling something, if you're not going to approve it, to say, listen, it's not going to be approved tonight because these are the deficiencies and you need to fix the deficiencies? Because I'll tell you, I talked to several of the DW people in the last couple of weeks, and I tell you what I told them: don't come to this meeting today unless you can stand up here and say we meet all of the guidelines. Whatever it takes for you to meet those guidelines, the board adopted them, they feel strongly about them, and the project has to meet. And so I think the issue is if you guys were better able to give them some direction by saying the low pitch roof has got to change, or we have to add, got to get rid of the metal. Give them something concrete so that they can ultimately, as business people, say, you know what? Not interested. Going to cost us too much money. We'll go down the road and do something different. Or, you know what? Maybe we're willing to accept the risk and expend the money and come into compliance with the guidelines. The frustration, I think, on their part was that it was just tabled. And again, please don't take it critically because I know you're trying to do your best, but I think if there is a way going forward, if you're not going to approve something to give them some direction, and it's going to take some time because you're not fully familiar with all of the guidelines that were just adopted. Is there a way, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
The option was either to deny the plan or to table it. And so what we did was table it so that we could help provide some feedback, because if flat out denying it, I mean, the process would have ended the same for them. They would have appealed it and then come.
If you denied it though and said, look, there's 3 deficiencies, you fix these 3 deficiencies and we'll approve it.
Yeah.
Or it will then.
If you deny it, it still moves through the process.
If you deny it, it still goes through.
But you got to say why you denied it, which.
Right, I think.
Which there was such
possible,
a large amount of, that
there were a lot of problems.
there were a lot that didn't meet the guidelines. And so, I mean, that would have been a 5-page long list of things like it doesn't meet this, it doesn't meet this, it doesn't meet this. Only because it's in the village district, not because it was a bad building. It just, so, I mean, could it be handled differently? Sure, it could.
Well, and I think that's if whatever this board decides going forward, this is a learning experience for all of us. And if you guys are faced with something like this again, I think making an effort, if you're going to deny it, to deny it with some reasons, as opposed to tabling it, so where they don't feel like they're just floundering around, well, heck, what do we do now kind of thing, might be beneficial. It might make your job easier as well, if you can do that. So that's my 2 cents. Mr. Powell is itching over here.
Yes, sir. Well, first and foremost, I guess, since we're the leaders, just a few minutes ago, I seconded the table, the conditional use for spin and fold. So, do we need to bring this back up?
You want to bring it back up? I'll listen to a motion.
I mean, my point is they have a right to table something. The planning and zoning has a right to table something. We have a right to table something. So, to say somebody doesn't have a right, it's just not.
Nobody said they didn't have a right, but there's a total difference between tabling something and leaving people who want to invest in the community with no direction versus what this board did tonight was tabled, spin, and fold and told them to come next meeting because there were some specific questions that needed to be answered. I see those as 2 different things entirely.
All right, well, I disagree. Going back to what you were talking about, them giving information. Number one, it'd be a direct violation of the Open Meetings Act for you to send an email to them and ask for feedback, give you the feedback.
I want a blind copy, like I did.
I mean, you're making decisions. You're making a decision.
Well, I mean,
via email, not in the public.
That it is a little gray. I mean, the idea on blind copying is that when you email a committee or a board that's subject to the Open Meetings Act, it's just to disseminate information to them and not seek responses.
Correct.
So that part is different, obviously. But I mean, I understand that y'all are trying to find a practical way to untwist the pretzel here, and you don't want to get caught up into too many regulations and things. Ideally, you would your architectural review guidelines would be in place long enough that everybody would know them, obviously. And Mr. Dearman is kind of the first level gatekeeper, as he knows it more. I mean, obviously I have no opinion as to what you guys do, but if you were to keep an architectural review board in place, he would be able to tell an applicant, I suspect the architectural review committee is going to want you to do A, B, and C, before you apply, before you bring this, He can also just determine it's a complete application, and just do it that way. But usually that first point of contact is in sort of a community development role, assists applicants and developers. you know,
And it sounds like Ms. Greer wanted, you had the idea that you wanted to work with them going forward. And you tabled it with the thought that that's what would happen over time.
Correct.
So it's not like.
I mean, and I think that tabling, I mean, I don't think anybody was saying they don't have the right to, but I mean, I think what y'all are talking about, it seems like to me, they tabling is one thing they can do. But you also want your people who work on committees to be able to take action when they can.
Sure.
I mean, so.
I'm not disagreeing on that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, let Mr. Powell finish.
Okay, so, and I appreciate you going fishing and getting some folks to send
well,
you
I
that
just
information.
asked my constituents.
Look,
So,
those,
no,
those petty comments, we don't need any of that.
No, here's the deal,
Just
is
go ahead
that,
and-
you know, I've had, I sat down with, Anthony Morrison, I sat down with Mr. Safety, and we've had some real issues, going on, so, you know, this is the first time I'm hearing, you know, with, I mean, I know Mr. Rutledge, so, you know, if we had never reached out, we'd have never heard something about, you know, whatever it was they said on that.
Can somebody make a comment from the floor?
Hold on.
Let's see here.
The answer will be yes. We're trying to keep everybody here
I'd like
running in
to
the right
say as
direction,
well,
okay?
Mr. Mayor, when it's appropriate, say one last thing. With me bringing this up to discussion, I think there's 3 ways this could be taken care of. Number one, have an architectural review board that is separate from P and Z. 5 people on this board, 5 people on this board. Maybe they meet the same night, maybe they don't meet the same night. I don't think there needs to be any mixing. The second option would be, since there are 2 ARC members that created the standards, now that we have the standards, they should be able to meet with P and Z and get everything lined up that way. Hopefully your meetings won't be that long, because now you do have the standards to go by. You didn't have those standards before.
Are you suggesting that the ARC board meet with the P and Z commission?
No, I'm suggesting that there be a separate board, different from P and Z, or either not have a P and Z board at all. And then
ARC
Mr.
board.
Dearman, yeah, ARC board, and then Mr. Dearman had a third idea that I thought was idea. The point is, we have a head of the department that is trying to make it more efficient for his department to work. And I think the board just needs to be open-minded and let the department head run his department the way he sees fit. That's all I'm saying.
And I want Mr. Dearman to run this department. We set policy though. Under, if you go back to last month's agenda, under 9G, we have, following the discussion, the mayor requested a motion to approve the architectural design standards. Alderwoman Campbell made a motion to adopt architectural design standards and repeal the architectural review committee ordinance. It was seconded by Alderman Taylor. It was voted 3-2. So last month we voted on this.
Yeah.
We voted to keep the art committee. So, you know, I already kind of had this on my notes and kind of going with what Mr. Hutchison said. I would like to see the art committee separate with 5 members, 1 appointed by each board member, that would meet on the first Tuesday of the month. They would make their recommendations to go to P and Z, which will meet on the 4th Tuesday of the month. So we're not, no developers losing any time or anything. And I think it would make the process get a lot smoother, and have those members that serve on P and Z, it'd be separate. So, you know, I totally agree with doing that. If you're serving on P and Z, you're not going to serve on the art committee. We did that initially for a reason. You know, but I definitely think that the art committee has merit. Looking at the buildings, looking at where we're at, where we want to go. So, so that's what I would like to propose.
So your motion is to make ARC now a 5-member board instead of 3?
Yes, sir.
And meet on the first Tuesday of the month?
Yes, sir.
And make P and Z, keep P and Z as it is, meet on the 4th Tuesday of the month?
Yes, sir.
What do you say about the meeting dates, Mr.?
I would not want on the first Tuesday. because I'm still getting things together. If we're going to keep it, I would prefer it the third Tuesday, because the way things come in, I get stuff on time, but I'm still negotiating with them. Hey, you're missing this, you're missing this.
What if we move the deadline to get the materials to you earlier?
It could be, that's the tough part, because I'm usually talking to them a month prior to it, you know, so I really like the idea of what we've been doing, sending it out, and you guys, maybe we can have a meeting, a preliminary meeting on it maybe, but another option I thought of is if we just had the P&Z board, we can do like a lot of other cities, and we can contract a professional architect that can look at this stuff objectively, because architecture is very easy to be subjective over. I mean, all of us do.
You would talk about the contracting with that.
Just like our city engineer, and I've actually talked to two so
Your-
far.
Your idea would be, that would be in addition to, or would replace the architect?
Replace the art, keep the P&Z, a full 7-board P&Z.
That's before we get there, because Mr. Powell's made a motion. What I want to do is talk about the feasibility of the date.
Right.
Okay, because I don't want us to be in a jam. I don't want the developers to be in a jam. I don't want this to be an impossible task. So, look, people come to develop at all different times, months beforehand. And if in fact we said that ARC is going to meet the first Tuesday of the month, and you say, in order to get on that agenda for the first Tuesday of the month, you need to have the materials to me, how many weeks in advance of that? 2?
It usually takes me a full week to review, and then at the very least they need, because I always make a lot of changes, so they need another at least a week to adjust their initial review. So we could be pushing it back a few more weeks.
So if you want to be on the agenda for the first Tuesday of the month, the materials need to be to you 3 weeks ahead of time?
So if let's just take September, for example. So if the first Tuesday, ARC is going to be ARC will meet, I will need submittals by mid-August.
Okay, so 2 weeks ahead of time.
2 weeks ahead of time.
Okay.
That's pushing it.
All right. 2 weeks ahead of time of the meeting. You just have to move the deadline back if that's what the board ultimately decides to do. Okay, so I got Mr. Powell's,
Before we
I got
vote on
Mr.
Mr. Powell's motion.
yeah, I'm gonna let you make a motion too.
Well, I was gonna say, should we let Mr. Kane explain his third option? On why he thinks we should dissolve the art review?
The way my mind works is, especially with 2 of our authors being on the P&Z, and in my mind, the site and the architecture they are together. They're one thing. They need to be reviewed together. I know I hadn't been here long, but from what I've seen, both sides talk about the other. The ARC will talk about site. P&Z talks about architectural, and it's just like, what are we doing? So I think it should be combined, and I think we should bring a professional in to review the initial submittal with me. I've talked with them. I need to get a few more quotes, but if we get rid of the art board, I'm getting the early estimates about $10,000 a year for an architect, a professional architect, to look at this, and they will be truly objective. Hey, this meets this standard, this meets this standard, as opposed to Casey and Melanie are great. I've not been trying to talk bad about them. They have great input, great ideas, but it's very easy for us who live here to be subjective. And we've seen a lot of that. Mr. Powell made a comment, hey, we don't like this brick. That's not in the standards. We don't like this color. That's not in the standards. That's up to the designer to choose that. We've got to make sure there's no metal on the sides. You know, it's very specific.
Let me interrupt you. Your wish would be dissolve ARC and contract with a third-party
architect. All right, have one meeting a month.
Ms. Kent, I'm sorry, go ahead.
All I'm gonna say is, these guidelines were approved last month. So we gotta give ourselves some grace here too, to let the process go. And if we see the data on it, that we don't need an art committee that must dissolve it. That's all I want to say. And I'm done.
Okay, Ms. Campbell, you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what other cities do that? Okay,
Brandon, Flowood, the main two I found so far.
so my motion to be, to do what Mr. Dearman would like to do with his department. That would be my mission.
Dissolve ARC, maintain P and Z,
And have Miss,
and hire a.
have these two ladies remain on P and Z because I do think they're very opinionated and their opinion's very important.
All right, so we got two motions. Yes, sir.
Before we make a, before we meet down this, could I allow a few minutes for Casey to speak?
Yeah, give her an opportunity.
Yeah, I've just been holding my hand up back here waiting for the opportunity. I'm Casey Syke. I serve as co-chair on planning and zoning and chair of architectural review. I guess one of the things that has been confusing for me, and I just want to make this clear moving forward, who determines if a project is compliant? Is it the applicant, the architect, the board of aldermen, the people that help create the ordinance, or the architectural review committee? Repeat your question one more time. Who determines if a project meets the guidelines and is compliant?
Ultimately, that's the board of aldermen who makes that call.
Okay. So how does it get to this process without coming through? There's other layers that it has to go through before it gets to you. By the time you get to it, it's voting time.
Right, you write recommendations.
So right now, Kane is responsible for reviewing and making sure that a project is compliant and meets all the guidelines.
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to respond to some of the comments that were made just for clarity. Several people have mentioned opinions and opinions. So I just wanted to clarify if it's Kane's decision to make that call. There was a lot of, in my opinion, in my mind, in my view, and that sort of thing. So those are all opinions. They weren't really based on facts. So what just got passed in large part did not conform to the guidelines. And I've got a whole list of things that were passed that in the ordinance that it did not comply with. After we were told, we didn't find out until the last meeting that Dean Noblins had appealed. At that point, I made several attempts to reach out to Zach to see if it was ethical to reach out to them, to give them information. I never heard back. We have not been given any rendering. We've not had any more communication on Dean Noblins since then. So again, we were not really given an appropriate time or date to have all this. We tabled it because again, there were so many things that could have been better, slight tweaks and suggestions that we wanted to make. And we just wanted to make sure that we were taking appropriate time to do that. Yes, so by taking away the architectural review committee, that leaves only one layer of eyes, which would be Kane's, before it goes to P&Z and before it comes to you guys, which if that's what y'all want to do, that's great. I do want to make a point that someone that teaches, someone that practices law, someone that does hair is going to be differently passionate about something like this than somebody that actually does this as a career. With that being said, I'm an interior designer, I'm an entrepreneur, multiple business owner, and a licensed contractor. I opened my first business here in Gluckstadt at the age of 25, and it's continued to grow and operate successfully for over 19 years. Since 2002, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to pursue a great passion of mine and utilize my God-given gifts and talents in construction. We have built and renovated homes, commercial properties through our construction company, worked alongside architects, designers, contractors, developers, and municipalities on projects ranging from small renovations to multi-million-dollar developments. Those projects have included custom homes, hunting lodges, hotels, restaurants, apartment communities, retail stores, spas, convenience store chains, neighborhoods, amenity centers, and other commercial developments. I understand this process because I have experienced it from every side. As a business owner, contractor, designer, applicant, reviewer, representative of other applicants, I understand the investment involved, the pressure of deadlines, and the frustration that can come with design review. I also understand why that review is necessary. When I was appointed to planning and zoning, Gluckstadt had many ideas for its future, but no clearly defined architectural vision. Through my research and travels, I discovered Lane Park in Mountain Brook, Alabama, a development that successfully combines timeless architecture with small town charm. Lane Park offered a strong model for Gluckstadt. It provided architectural language that could incorporate German influence while complementing existing architecture we already had in our city. I began sharing that concept with other city officials, and it ultimately shaped much of what became Gluckstadt's recently adopted design district ordinance standards. The goal was never simply to create attractive individual buildings. The goal was to create a cohesive, timeless, and highly curated community with an identity unique to Gluckstadt. That vision also reflected what our citizens expressed through the citywide survey: a downtown style environment with complementary businesses, pedestrian activity, gathering spaces, walking trails, a city park, German architectural influence, and a recognizable community center. Before the Architectural Review Committee was formed, planning and zoning meetings often led to extra hours of detailed architectural review. The ARC was created to provide the focused attention that these projects required. This role ended up encompassing work with a city planner to create the guidelines for the city. The committee's responsibility is to interpret and consistently apply the city's adopted architectural standards, review the exterior design of buildings, renovations, signage, landscaping, and other visible improvements to determine whether projects are compatible with their districts, recommend necessary modifications, and protect the city from piecemeal, repetitive, or incompatible development. An individual applicant naturally focuses on their particular project, which is just one piece of the puzzle. The ARC must look at the entire puzzle, how each project relates to neighboring properties, public spaces, future development, and the city's long-term identity. That responsibility sometimes requires us to request changes. Occasionally, it may require us to say no. That does not mean we are opposed to development or insensitive to an applicant's investment. It means we all recognize that the long-term success of the city as a whole must remain our priority. Dean Island project is particularly significant. At approximately 32,570 square feet, it will occupy a substantial portion of the village district, our highest tier and most intentionally regulated design district. It will also be visible from all four directions, including the rear of the building facing the future city park. The applicant purchased this property with full knowledge that it was located within the village district. Through the process, we have consistently heard that the applicant is what they are willing and not willing to do. However, applicants do not determine which adopted standards they will follow. That responsibility belongs to the city. The ARC was shown a preliminary drawing and identified several compliance concerns to the architect. However, we did not receive the final project packet until the day before we were expected to vote. We determined that we did not have adequate time to properly review the submission or prepare responsible recommendations, so we voted to table it to allow us appropriate time to review and make suggestions. The applicant then appealed that decision. There have also been references that different projects have gone back and forth unnecessarily. However, when an applicant knowingly does not meet the standards of the ordinance, yet decides to continue with submission, that should be expected. Tabling the project was not a rejection. It was an effort to give a major project in the city's most important design district the careful review it deserved. Allowing an applicant to bypass that process weakens not only ARC, but every board and committee that is intended to work integrally to provide layers of protection and efficacy for the city. It communicates that adopted standards may be disregarded whenever compliance becomes difficult or an applicant is unwilling to make changes. And it also communicates to those that invest more or threaten lawsuits or don't have to go through the same process as other people have. For years, city officials in Gluckstadt have expressed urgency about adopting and enforcing stronger design standards. Those standards have now been adopted, and these are the very first projects through which we have the opportunity to apply them. If we compromise at the beginning, before the vision has even had an opportunity to take shape, we establish a precedent that will be extremely difficult to reverse. Gluckstadt has limited land remaining for development. That makes every major project especially important. While sales tax revenue matters, revenue should not outweigh the permanent physical character of our city. Buildings remain long after initial negotiations, applications, and construction schedules are forgotten. On behalf of the Architectural Review Committee, and this, I was hoping to talk to you before you made this decision, but we wanted to ask you to preserve the integrity of the Architectural Review Committee, the city and taxpayer investment to create the ordinance and support the review process, and require this project, which is referring to D. Noblins, and future projects to return for a complete and thoughtful evaluation under the standards that the city has adopted. So again, to be honest with you, the first design was a lot better than the second one. If we would have just been able to communicate, I think it would have saved time and it would have saved money and they could have made some adjustments, but here we are.
Ms. Sykes, I need you to move along.
Yes,
We got
I'm almost done.
Agenda here.
I also would ask that anyone who has concerns about the ARC's purpose or operation to sit down with us, attend the process, ask questions such as pros and cons, reasons for delays, or suggest solutions for better efficiency, and understand the work that we are doing before deciding that a committee is unnecessary. This is a newly incorporated city and newly established ARC committee, and it will take time to be perfected. And it cannot be currently compared to other city processes that have been well-oiled machines for decades. We are not trying to prevent progress, we are trying to define it. If Gluckstadt is going to become something distinctive, something more intentional than what can be found in every surrounding city, we must sometimes require more than what is easiest, fastest, or most familiar. Gluckstadt has the opportunity to become more than just a collection of buildings. It can become an experience, a place where people feel invited to walk, play, dance, dine, gather, and remain in the city. We made a commitment to set the bar high, but the Architectural Review Committee cannot uphold that commitment alone. The standards must be supported consistently at every level. We have only one opportunity to build the city of Gluckstadt. 20 years from now, no one will remember whether a project was delayed for a few weeks or even months if absolutely necessary to protect the integrity of the city. This is not unusual, and that should be taken into consideration by each applicant as they adequately prepare to walk through the process. Ultimately, others will see what we approved, what we protected, and what we valued and allowed to become permanent. Every decision we make moves Gluckstadt towards its vision or away from it, and I respectfully ask that you choose to support the vision.
Thank you, Ms. Sykes. Mr. Callaway, everybody else has gotten an opportunity to speak. I'm gonna let you speak. But listen, I am here. It is 8:40. I am violating my own rules by not keeping a 5-minute timer here, but go ahead.
It sounds like there's a change fixing to be made. And speaking as a landowner in the village and on Calhoun Station, I also sold D. Noblin all their land. I look at it from a little different perspective. I don't have a problem with the P&Z and architectural committees, but we need to make sure we don't lose sight of making it more efficient and fast for the developer. If I take out a $4.5 million loan and I come to this committee to put in a project, after I purchase the land, it's gonna cost me $30,000 to walk through a 6-week project, interest only, not counting architectural fees and delays. So y'all sound like you're on to some good ideas, but I would be mindful that we keep it as smooth and efficient as we can, not just for the committees, but also for the developer. We don't want to get the reputation in Gluckstadt of this thing is going to take a lot of work to get it done, and then the potential buyers for our land just leave.
Thank
And that
you,
will
Mr.
happen.
Callaway. I appreciate your brevity. Okay, so we have two motions before the board. We have Mr. Powell's motion to enlarge the ARC to 5 members, with the deadline being, with their meeting being the first Tuesday of the month. P and Z will remain as is, meet the 4th Tuesday of the month. Is there a second of that motion?
Second.
All right, Ms. Bates seconded that motion. Ms. Campbell has a motion to dissolve the Architectural Review Committee and the contract with a third-party architect to fill that role. Is there a second of Ms. Campbell's motion? Mr. Taylor seconded that motion. All right, on Mr. Powell's motion, with Ms. Bates seconded, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that matter passed 3-2.
Yep.
I have one comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to see the commissioners on every board, if there is a conflict of interest, that they recuse themselves or either voting.
Well, I think every person who serves in the city government has that ethical obligation, including me and all of you, and everybody who serves on any board. If there is a conflict of interest, that's definitely something that they need to consider.
It should have been done last week.
Okay. I think that disposes of item 8N. Mr. Powell's motion, which passed, contemplates the appointment of 5 Architectural Review Committee members, 1 from each board member. So that needs to be done forthwith. So please let us know who your appointee is. And now let's go to item number 9.
Mayor, I'm sorry, just to jump in. If I recall correctly, the Architectural Review Committee is set by ordinance. And so for y'all to change it, I think what we need to do is bring y'all.
It's written right now as they're allowed up to 7 members of.
Oh, okay, there you go. Everybody's clearer than mine on that. Okay, so we're within the ordinance without a need to change the inside? Okay, all right.
Separate from B&Z, so we need to decide.
So it won't be any overlapping. So what'll happen is each of you will appoint somebody to architectural review, but they can also serve on P&Z. Okay?
So I asked our question to Casey, so, you know, when I was entertaining this idea, and, you know, now if you don't mind me saying this, I mean, she's agreed to serve on the architectural committee for me. So next month, I'll be bringing forth another person to replace her on the P&Z commission.
Okay.
So I won't be bringing, I mean, she'll be my art person, but I will be bringing somebody forth also for P&Z.
And also, we're almost at the end of the year. It'd be ideal. Let's get all our ducks in a row and start this first of the new year.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, that way, because we got to get 2 or 3 new members.
When you say start this, Kane, you talking about the appointment of the full 5?
Right, because if Casey's on ARC, that means she's got to be replaced on P&Z, so there's got to be some shuffling around.
I don't think you should wait until the first of the year.
No, we got.
Yeah, I would suggest if y'all can do it by the September meeting, you should shoot for that.
But I think the person needs to be educated in what they're serving for.
I was gonna say, and I think I'd hesitate to do this, but all 6 of you know that, you know, in your own role, we provided training to y'all, and there was a PowerPoint in the presentation. You don't know this, but, and we've done that with the zoning commission. So when the suggestion was, how do they know what training, what's the city doing? What they're doing is providing the city attorneys training to give them, you know, regular training and attend the meetings. Now, typically we don't attend the architectural review committee meetings, and they don't have, you know, a need for a lawyer. But I was going to say, we certainly are happy to meet with them when needed, hopefully not needed that often, but at least once together with Kane and sort of go over sort of the ground rules, explain the import of the Architectural Review Committee, explain the statutory authority for an advisory committee of citizens like that, help provide that guidance.
All for it.
And that way, because I hate for the public to hear the suggestion, what's the city doing to keep people by standards? I mean, that's our job. We're here to help people by standards, and we do that, take it seriously. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I just got one more comment and I'll shut up. A little bit. My thing would be that we need to make sure we're educating the architects and the people, the contractors are coming in, that these are our standards and this is what we expect. And just because you come in with something that doesn't look like this, like they need to know ahead of time. Now, I hate that Daniel left already, but
They've had it.
and I'll go back there and chat with them.
They've had it for months.
Well, they've had it, but they need to do it.
And I think if we allow something that's just gonna be blown out of the water to come to an architectural review board, P&Z meeting, that's a discussion we need to have with him. I think he's doing a great job of saying, hey, these are the guidelines, P&Z's probably gonna say this to you, P&Z's probably gonna say that to you.
All right, 9A. Mr. Butler.
The county passed the MOU at their last board of supervisors meeting to repave Calhoun Station. They'd like to do this whenever they pave the section north of Stout Road. Whenever they do that, they would like to pave the city's portion of Calhoun Station Parkway going south of Stout Road to Lakeview Parkway. Just for y'all's interest, they will be paving the Canton portion that we all get questions about. That will be fixed whenever they do that. I believe they're gonna come all the way to Church Road. Whenever they do that, they're just waiting on Canton to pass their MOU.
So the county wants to pave our street. and
Yes,
we'll
sir.
Give them the authority to do it. Is there a motion?
Make that motion.
Mr. Powell made the motion. Is there a second? Ms. Spade second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item 9B. You want to buy a new mower?
Yes, Public Works would like to buy a new mower. Our John Deere has had significant maintenance issues, and we would like to replace it with a newer mower. It is our oldest mower, so it's not really uncommon, but we would like to replace it with an Exmark. We have an Exmark already. This is also on state contract. We can get it for a pretty good price.
You want to buy it from Hartley Equipment, $12,879. It's on state contract.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
We'll have to see the old one.
We're gonna keep it as a backup. It's just not reliable for an everyday mower. I mean, just this summer, we've had it at Agro 3 times. It's at Agro right now.
It's probably not cheaper every time it goes out.
Another $1,200 fix this time.
All right, is there a motion to authorize the purchase of the new mower?
3 years.
Motion. Mr. Taylor made the motion. Ms. Bates, I heard a second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I wish you voted like that on everything. All right, thank you, Mr. Butler.
He really likes long.
Chief Hale. How long did that one last?
Hey, I just want to start out by saying if y'all need me to serve on a board or committee, I'm.
General update, Chief.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. Start out with stats. We had 117 citations.
That's one of the last one.
Yes. 19 arrests, 16 misdemeanors, 1 felony arrest, and 2 DUIs. We worked 18 accidents. Any questions about our staff? Some more of our updates. Mayor, I did talk with Carrie. The AC is currently doing what it's supposed to do right now, but they're still monitoring that. Of course, we still have the roof leaks. We have found another roof leak. I think it was yesterday, or either this morning. No, it was this morning, right by the door. That we've had a leak there before, and now we have a leak again. So the mayor has been notified of that, and Carrie and the mayor and all of us are working to try to alleviate those issues right now. Training. We did, I don't know if y'all saw our Facebook, we did some training before the school starts, some computer training. That was actually pretty fun. If you've never been shot by sim rounds, it hurts, but it's better than being shot with a real bullet. So it was actually good training. We did that 2 Tuesdays, and we're gonna do some more training in the schools when we have time to do that. Our SRO, Sloma, he went to the coast for a week, did some training. I want to thank Lindsay and Scott and everybody who helped get that through. the last minute in the board, but yes, thank y'all for that. Assistant Chief Slavin, Lieutenant Tucker, Pontman and Hook are going to, they're our SWAT guys. They're going to some training out in Texas. Also thank them again for helping us with the Airbnb, working out those issues. We attended a bunch of ribbon cuttings. I'm not gonna go through them all. I know y'all are ready to go. And we are participating in the Drive Sober and Get Pulled Over campaign, starting August the 19th through September the 7th. So if you plan on getting out drinking and driving, don't do it in our city.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions of Chief Hale on his general update? All right, item 10B is an add-on. Chief wants to buy some laptops that are gonna be paid for by the public safety grant.
Yes,
Jag grant.
Department of Public Safety, JAG grant. Yes, and I apologize for the last minute not being on there, but we didn't get quotes until, and one of the reasons is because of the grant, the time and all that, and then also the way inflation and all that's going up, these computers, if we wait, prices may go up. We'll end up paying more, so. But these are gonna go in our vehicles to replace the old ones, computers that we've had since 2022, I mean.
Two quotes, one for $12,495, one for $13,591.75. And you want to use the lower?
Yes, sir, that communication.
All right, is there been a motion to approve the purchase of these 5 laptops? Ms. Campbell made the motion. Is there a second? Second. Mr. Powell seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you, Mr. Hale. All right, at this time, we have to briefly go into executive session. Nobody else has signed. The public has had their say tonight.
I want to say something else. No, I did, but I'm good. Yeah, I'm gonna hold on.
All right, at this time, we need to go into closed session to determine the need for executive session. We have a personnel matter to look into. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
Okay, yeah, so.
Taylor made the motion.
And I'm out.
Nate seconded the motion. All in favor? We're in closed session. Get out.